Ladies and gentlemen, today we explore the mystery of the Trident, a powerful symbol with a rich mythological history that has baffled historians and fascinated the world for centuries. From Poseidon's iconic weapon to the Devil's pitchfork, the Trident has been associated with power, authority, and even the underworld. But how did this enigmatic symbol make its way into the logos of corporations and the emblems of flags around the world? Join us as we unravel the mysteries of the Trident and discover its enduring relevance in the modern society. This is the mystery of the Trident, only on Truth Mafia.
Now we're going to be getting into Poseidon, Neptune, Inky, but this is based on the new Aquaman that just came out, and I got an all-star lineup I'm going to introduce here in just a second. Before we get going, make sure you smash them like buttons, guys. This is streaming on my YouTube, my Facebook, my Rumble, all of our platforms. And it's brought to you in part by Body Align and the Energy Wellness Band. That link is down in the description. Use promo code Truth Mafia to get an extra 20% off. So that link is down in the bio. And you can also, a link in the bio, if you want to get a reading and find out if you're one of these NPCs controlled by this artificial intelligence, that link is down below as well. And we do the dream interpretations. I just did one last night that was quite fascinating. I'm waiting to hear back from her if I'm able to share her dream because it was so cool. And I made some really cool images based on her dream. So if she lets me share it, then I'll share it with you guys. But I got an all-star lineup for you guys. Excuse my voice. I've been in the hospital for the last 2 days. I had an upper respiratory infection, and this is going to be my birthday podcast. My birthday is actually Wednesday, the 17th, but I'll be out of town. So I wanted to do it today with the whole Truth Mafia crew. And we got Logan from Decode Your Reality. What's up, brother Logan?
What's happening? Glad to be here, bro.
We got Doe-Nut Factory.
Yo, what up? It's Doe-Nut.
And we got JayDreamerZ.
Aloha. Happy birthday.
And my partner in crime, Paranoid American of paranoidamerican.com. How you doing?
How you doing, guys?
Yeah,
hey,
you
happy
guys
birthday,
something.
Tommy.
Yeah.
What'd you say, buddy?
I'm just saying happy birthday, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting old, 41. Is that
Are you going out of town to celebrate with Jim Carrey since he has the same birthday as you? Are you going to his birthday party? You guys doing it together?
Yes, I'm going to chill with Jim.
Nice.
Me and Jim, we're going to kick it. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
I would love to kick it with Jim.
Heck yeah.
He's different, right? But yeah, I never knew he had the same birthday as me. Does he?
He does.
Somebody else has January 17th. Is it Eminem that has my birthday?
No, he's 1017, so it's the same number though.
Okay, 1017.
One,
Yeah, that
one,
117, which 117 is Truth Mafia in English Ordinal. Ain't that kind of weird? And I did not know that when I was doing it. It's just the organic synchronicity that came out. It's so bizarre. I'm like, another thing I found, Logan. So when I've been doing these decodes, brother, like in Chaldean, which you got me hip to this cipher. I think it's the most purest cipher out there, but Truth Mafia is 36 in that cipher, and that's the Neo code. Old Souls is 36, and in Jewish belief, there are 36 righteous people born in every generation that they say saves the world, right? So it's pretty fascinating. And another connection I found with this is the non-player character and first player character. So non-player character equals 63. Well, Saturn has 62 moons and one planet, which is 63. And then Jupiter has one planet and 63 moons, which is 64. In first player character, 64, matching all the worlds of stage. We have 64 spaces on the chessboard. You know what I mean? So I found that quite fascinating. I've been going down a rabbit hole on the whole non-player characters thing. Maybe one day we could do a decode on that, bro. Have you ever done anything on that yet, Logan?
I haven't.
Yeah, I would love to get into. I know you would find things that I didn't even find. So yeah, it fascinates me, bro, because there's definitely a lot of non-player characters in this reality. I believe that full heartedly. So we're getting into the newest Aquaman today. And how did all you guys see it? The new Aquaman?
I have not.
You haven't yet?
Nope.
Well, but you know enough on Poseidon and
Uh-huh.
Neptune and all that. Well, it was pretty good. Jay just watched it last night. Everybody in here, I'm sure, has watched Zack Snyder's Justice League,
Yep.
which had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Aquaman. And now the new one is The Last Kingdom. And I thought it was phenomenal myself.
Yes.
What did you think, Jay? What did you think about it?
Man, I thought it was going to be corny and dumb. I mean, it was okay as a movie, but the symbolism. Oh, you put me up on the screen. Oh, check it out. I got the cup. Went out and got the cup.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
No, Atlantis. Like, even if you haven't seen the movie, I mean, we could probably all touch on Atlantis. You know what I mean, to say the least. But I've got I've got so many screenshots because like I thought I was like, you know what, I'll take a couple screenshots that way I can pitch in, you know, and talk about it with everybody. I couldn't stop. I could not stop. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that too? Oh, that reminds me of this too. There's a lot of stuff in this movie.
That many, huh?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, dude. Especially like with what Jay covers, the whole plasma apocalypse stuff. There's a lot of symbolism of the
or even just the regular any apocalypse. Like the movie is basically all about the apocalypse.
Yeah,
and
Well,
Atlantis.
you know-
I mean, Atlantis is apocalypse too, right?
I watched the first 15 minutes of it because every Hollywood film goes through the same structure through the first 15 minutes. And then after that, that's when they start using the programming. So every single movie is pretty much the exact same movie where you got the superhero who you identify with through their trials and tribulations, and you start liking them because they like a woman and a child. So in the beginning of the film, the first thing you see is this Aquaman who you relate to because save women and children first, like with the Titanic, you know, we all know that saying. And this is the propaganda through films, which is the same propaganda you'll see in your media or with a politician. And then once it hits that 15-minute mark, that's usually when the weird stuff starts creeping in. But I watched the first 15 minutes of this and I took slides of that. You could see who sponsored the film, which goes into the alcohol companies, which is straight connected to Illuminati, 3 million deaths a year with alcohol. So it's part of that whole agenda of, population management. And then it also goes into, just like every other Hollywood film, into how the world is heating up as well, that whole agenda. So there's that programming in it as well.
and that's funny you mentioned the alcohol agenda because Aquaman is pretty much an alcoholic. He's constantly drinking.
He
Oh, is that
totally
right?
is that freaking
Yeah.
alcoholic, dude.
Yeah, he's always drinking. He goes in the bar, he'll
A
down a
lot.
whole bottle of liquor and
Yeah.
then
Like a
jump back
fish.
into the ocean. Yeah. He's always drinking liquor. So that's kind of funny. It's probably in his code, probably in that code. And that's something you caught, Doe-Nut. That's pretty cool, man.
You can see this in music videos. If it's the new Cardi B film, she opens the fridge and shows all the unhealthy products that are paying for the music videos. You can see the same thing in films as well. So this film, when they open the fridge, it's sponsored by Guinness beer. And I haven't looked into the roots of that family, but I've heard other researchers tied into some major players of like Illuminati type bloodlines.
Fascinating. Yeah. What do you think, Paranoid? I always loved it. He hates superhero movies, so let's
This
hear
one
it.
hasn't broken the trend too much, although I'll say it was a spectacle, and I don't not like spectacles, but I kept like running through my mind. The angle I kept coming up with was far less to do with like symbolism because there's a lot in here, but I was just thinking like, why are there even actors in this movie? Because there's so many scenes when there's not like a human being anywhere on the scene, and when you do see a human, it's almost just like a 2D plane of their face that they just kind of plop on front of whatever the 3D model is. And I kept going back to like Amber Heard had all this like negative energy and bad press and everything surrounding her leading into this movie. And all they did was just like plastered her face on what, like 9 different scenes for just enough time to then stitch together like explosions and stuff. So like, why was she even in the movie? They could have had anyone's face. They could have made a 3D AI face. Would have been. But that aside, like Jay was saying, like the movie I wanted to not like, but it was hard to not like it. I just kind of ignored all the Hollywood parts and all the actor parts, but it wasn't hard because they were in like 10 minutes total of the movie, and the rest of it's just badass underwater like bioluminescent, plasma battles. So what's there not to like about that?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I enjoy Aquaman. I mean, people make fun of him. They say he's like the worst superhero.
He started out in the movie. He was like, people don't give me credit or something. He was like, I'm always the butt of all the jokes or something. And like, yeah, dude, him and Namor got a bad rap because they're both kind of lame.
I don't get how he can breathe underwater unless he has gills in his nose or something. I was like watching him, like, how do they breathe under? I would
assume the
like,
skin. Like he could probably just absorb the oxygen through his skin somehow.
like an insect,
or maybe
I don't
he's
know.
not like breathing. Maybe like some like how dolphins like. Oh no, never mind. I'm dolphins.
How does Superman breathe in outer space?
Right.
No,
I mean,
no.
why even ask? Because Wonder Woman
no,
has
no,
a million
DC
dollars.
is like every answer to any question in DC, and I'm a little bit fanboy of Marvel here, but the answer is always like because they come from another planet or because they come from the gods.
Yeah.
And that's the full stop answer. At least in Marvel, it was like because the dude fell into toxic sludge, because Peter got bit by the radioactive spider, and like there's always a good reason. When it comes to DC, it's like the reason's because of magic and fairy dust.
I love DC, dude. You're more of a Marvel guy than DC.
Oh, 100%. I like Lobo big time in DC and Batman, and everyone else is.
I like Marvel more too, but I like DC. I think DC, it's darker. It has like a darker element to it.
They've done better with the movies, I think, than Marvel has recently. Like they're willing to like the Suicide Squad movies. Like I love that kind of over the top sort of stuff.
The Toxic Avenger will take out all of them.
Oh yeah. Shout out Troma.
Shout out to New Jersey.
The best one, honestly, guys, was Zack Snyder's Justice League. That was phenomenal. And they were opening up a portal, and it's the same symbolism over and over. Just like in this one, they were the Trident that it kind of possessed this guy, right? And it takes you back. I think it was the first Aquaman or the second one where Aquaman had killed that dude on accident down in the submarine. Remember that?
Yeah.
Where they were trying to rob the submarine. He ends up killing him. And then his son comes back for vengeance. Well, it's that dude that he gets a hold of this Trident that kind of possesses him and takes him over. And it's this other entity that has been like banished to this shadow realm. And that entity is trying to come back into the real reality, right? So he's possessed. His eyes go green. And whenever I see the green too, I instantly think of the green god, CERN, which is the Celtic god of the underworld. Some say that's who CERN was named after. And even when they were in their little underwater vehicles, it looked like little mini hadron colliders powering them. Did you notice that? It was like a little CERN.
Something about that shape is like in the boring machines as well. CERN Collider, they all have that Ishtar 8-pointed star symbol. So there's something with that symbol that they can do some wild stuff, whether that's Elon digging the tunnels or if it's CERN opening up portals.
Yes. And CERN has the 8 bars going around it. We see that 8 symbolism over and over with the 8-pointed star. Wonder Woman has it on her forehead. Captain Marvel has it on her chest.
Cat Williams got it on his chest too.
Yeah. Cat Williams is rocking
That's
it on his
right.
necklace lately, but we see it when you go to Las Vegas. Logan, well, this was one of my main questions I wanted to ask you. What do you know about the 8-pointed star, brother?
Oh, it's the octagon.
Okay, but like, do you know any connections behind it as far as mythology and that goes?
Oh, Ishtar is the one that is typically rendered to the 8-pointed star. But you have the octagon. So I just go to, for me as a decoder, I like to look at sacred geometry because that's primarily where you're going to find the letters, numbers, and symbols matching up to. So the octagon is the actual shape that the large Hadron Collider is created through, is that octagon. So 8-pointed star is also tied to the 8-sided polygon, which is the octagon. So these are big markers. Octagon, octopus.
There was an octopus in that movie too.
The whole movie had an octopus throughout it.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
Yaldabaoth.
Yep. And I did a decode on this. Let me put it on full screen so the people can see in the comments. Full screen. Here we go. I did a decode on the 8-pointed star. And one thing I noticed about it, Brother Logan, is it seems to always be connected to entities with abilities. Like I said, Wonder Woman has it on her forehead. Captain Marvel has it on her chest. She got her powers through plasma. You have Ring of Power, which me and JayDreamer are getting ready to do an episode on that. And you see she has the 2 8-pointed stars on her shoulders. And that's what the Elven race, they like kind of worship the 8-pointed star.
Mhm.
It's at the center of their society, right? And then in Man of Steel, which he represents L, Man of Steel, 45 minutes in, bro, it's where Superman goes into that old spaceship that he finds. It's like his family spaceship, and he finds his dad's consciousness in there. And his father is telling him where he comes from, who he really is, talking about the House of El on his chest. And at that scene, you see the 8-pointed star on the screen right there. And 45 is Man of Steel, Fallen Angels, Fallen One. And they say the Anunnaki or the Watchers, a lot of people think they are the fallen angels, right? And we have the Chaos Star, the 8 points of the Chaos Star. We see it in the movie or the series called Power Book 3, Raising Canaan. It's in there too. And it's right after she gets done having sexual relations with this gentleman. It's right behind her head, which that's at 42 minutes and 29 seconds in. 42 plus 29, 71. Whore of Babylon, sudden destruction, weather warfare. So that's another connection I found with it. Cat Williams, I just did a video on that. His little, it's a representation of the Chaos Star. It also means many other things too, but it just has that.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
another interesting one, because we're going to get into this 19, and that's the Aquaman code. And right here, the new season 1, episode 9 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters at 1 minute and 2 seconds in. And remember, what did Cat Williams say in this interview? I was the 201st person to do the audition, remember?
Yep.
So 201 is the reflection of 102. And we see the 8-pointed star on the wall there. Now, right after this scene, guys, he goes and gets into this device where he goes through a portal to inner Earth. So the whole portal symbolism connected to it. JayDreamerZ just watched Wonka. So I had to watch it. First, I thought it was all in Spanish. There's a couple scenes that are in Spanish. But Willy Wonka, the first time you see it is 4 minutes and 4 seconds in. You see the 8-pointed star. Then again at 16 minutes and 42 seconds, people are flying because they eat chocolate that gives them the ability to fly. So there's just more connections with people with abilities, right? And it's all over the Mormon church. I mean, it's crazy. But it really goes back to Anu. Anu, that's where they say the 8-pointed star originated from.
Yep.
Anu, the sky god,
Yep.
right? So there's a connection to Jupiter there as well, which I found fascinating. But yeah, man, it's all over, and it just blew my mind how ingrained it is in society, especially with what we call the elites, right? These nobility families where they wear the Iron Cross, and the Iron Cross is even a representation of it. But what was Nibiru called? The planet of the crossing. Now, I think Nibiru is a dimension that they're opening up. I don't think it's a planet. That's my personal view on it, though. Murduke has the 8-pointed star all over him as well, and the cross of Chai Rio. But the craziest part, not the Order of Dragon or the Star card, which is the 17th card in the tarot deck. What's Nibiru equal? Oh, 17 in Chaldean. So you know what I'm saying? And Vlad the Impaler, the Order of the Dragon, they had the same representation. We see it on the Pope's coat of arms. But most importantly, let me get down here real quick.
Yeah, you got the Knight of Malta. It looks like just like Epstein, his watch has that, and Red Hot Chili Peppers logo is it as well.
Yeah, and on the UN, Mount Hermon, where this is historically where the Watchers allegedly descended on the 33rd parallel to Mount Hermon, and they have the 8-pointed star right on the UN outpost there. So we see it connected to fallen angels, Anunnaki, Anu, the Catholic Church. I mean, it's crazy how ingrained it is amongst the nobility and stuff. It blew my mind.
And the Chiro, it's also pronounced hero because it's more of a he instead of a ch. It's a hero. That's why the heroes have it.
Interesting. I didn't know that part.
And it's the nautical star too, so it goes back to Phoenicians. Phoenicia, that's why it's on the compass, because the people would see this star in the center of the sky, this huge star, and they knew where they were. It was where the North Star is now.
And the ancients would talk about an 8-pointed star would open up in the sky, and these gods would come through it with advanced technology. So what is really going on there with that 8-pointed star symbolism? We see it, all throughout superhero movies like Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And you see how I had that 19 connection? What is that, Doe-Nut?
The Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, is that what that is? Let me see that.
I like how Doe-Nut just brings his slides like printed out, so no one's got to like share screen or nothing. He's just like, bam, I'm sharing screen.
That's funny.
Yeah, he always does.
He's good at that. He busts out all the evidence.
I had my microphone mute. The Economist magazine, you could just look at it similar to that. And I was just saying the Red Hot Chili Peppers logo. Got it right there.
Oh yeah,
and in the middle they have that red flower too.
Right.
You'll notice that red flower also it makes a lot of appearances. People will wear especially bad guys in movies, they'll have like a red carnation. It's oftentimes like a carnation.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. I didn't know the Red Hot Chili Peppers had it. So the 19 connection. All right, guys. We see that's connected to the Chaos Star, which Chaos is 19, right? Well, Aquaman is 19, and that's the number of the NPCs too, the non-player characters, that 19. The abbreviation for it anyways. 63 is the number if you spell it out, but the abbreviation is 19. And CRISPR equals 19, matching Aquaman and battery. Now, what does a battery do? It animates something. It brings it to life, right? And the 19th element is potassium. It has the atomic weight of 39, which is Lucifer, the light bearer. Now, potassium is essential for life. Potassium is crucial in numerous biological functions and is also extensively utilized in a range of industrial processes. As a metal, it has distinct properties like electrical conductivity, and so pretty much it's connected to that battery, which battery is also 19. And who, you see how it ties to CRISPR there? Who was the god that allegedly created humanity? Enki, right? Enki was the master geneticist that they said created humanity. And Enki is represented by Poseidon, who is Aquaman. So, Logan, what do you think about that 19 connection, brother, with genetics?
Yeah, well, I just want to digress and go back to the 8-pointed star and mention that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mentioned through mathematics, 19 is the 8th prime number.
Oh,
so there's always going to be the prime connected to the composite number. Not the composite number, but the composite number. So the 19 being the 8th prime number tells you, and the 19th card in the tarot being the sun. Well, you now have the connecting point of the sun manifesting itself down through the number 8. Now, what is the number 8? It's the infinity symbol, and infinity means the sine and cosine wave that the sun makes, which makes up our DNA. So the sun creates a pattern in the sky called ribonucleic acid, and the ribonucleic acid is going to be the messenger or the programmer of the deoxyribonucleic acid, which forms the infinity symbol as it moves through waves through the 5 layers of the stratosphere, ionosphere, et cetera, et cetera. So the 8-pointed star is probably more linked to the number 19 in the sun than anything else. And so the number 8 being the infinity symbol is the sine and cosine wave, and that is what we are all trapped in. That's called the sine wave. Now, you had showed the potassium. Potassium has 39 as its isotope, and that can be linked to the element yttrium, because yttrium, being the 39th element on the periodic table, has the letter Y for its abbreviation, and the letter Y looks a hell of a lot like a snake's tongue.
Is yttrium one with the satellite logo on it?
That's right. That's right. It is.
Wow. Yeah, dude. That's crazy. And,
yeah. So you connect all these, and even potassium has 19 protons. Well, the element that has 19 for its isotope is fluorine, which is the 9th element. And 9 is going to be tied to the sine wave, because the word sin equals the number 9. The word Adam to the original Hebrew numerology is the number 9. And Adam is the sun. It's the proton. Adam, and out of Adam came Eve. And how did Eve get created? Through the rib. And the rib is called ribonucleic acid. The ribonucleic acid. So that's the messenger of the sun, the programmer. And then we get caught in the sine and cosine wave, which is the number 8, which is the infinity symbol. That's why infinity equals 26, which reduces down to the number 8. And the reason why source equals 26, which reduces down to the number 8.
Oh, wow. And that's the number of the archons, that 26 number.
Archons, Yod-Heh-Vah is 26. It's the element iron, and iron is basically the gold that forms the creation for this reality through the lights, camera, action, because iron has an atomic weight of 56 and lights, camera, action equals 56. So this all tells you that iron is tied to the sun, which is really the masculine form of the sun, because iron is tied to Mars, right? The iron is tied to war. So the masculine testosterone push of the sun wanting to become an avatar uses the Mars energy, which is masculine, to chase after the vagina, which is the feminine estrogen. And that's basically how it works. It's testosterone chasing estrogen. And this is where you're going to get all the stories of the male chasing the female, fallen angels, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
That's where you're going to get all that information from.
That was an amazing breakdown, dude.
Also, the plus and minus of the battery too, right?
Yep, the anode and cathode. Absolutely. So you had talked about like if you're going to get into Aquaman, Aquaman came from the character Arthur Curry. Arthur Curry is the comic book name, and his Arthur Curry is 34, and there's the 34th card in the cards of illumination. It's the 8 of diamonds. the 8, the infinity symbol. So the sun is
Wow.
going to deliver the 8 of diamonds, which is Aquaman. So Aquaman is tied, yes, it's tied to the sun, but really I think the big takeaway is Poseidon / Neptune, because it is very possible that is what's running this entire reality, is the watery Neptune, Poseidon. And keep in mind, guys and gals, Neptune just moved into its own domicile house of Pisces just not too long ago. So it is back in its own house after 164 years.
Oh,
It just came back into Pisces. So
what does that entail for people? Because I know that certain Pluto return, certain things that happen in the stars affect Mercury retrograde, right? Messes up technology. What does this mean if it's been 160 plus years?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good question, because it's not just Neptune sitting in the sign of Pisces right now, the 12th sign. It's also, you have Rahu there as well, or the north node of the moon, which is kind of is the drive of everything. It's in spirituality. So we're having this massive influx of people questioning everything, and the spirituality is kind of getting elevated, and that's why we're beginning to see, and things are being shown because of these positions right now. Neptune being in its own domicile house right now in that 12th sign of Pisces. And remember, Pisces is 2 fish, and the 2 fish in the zodiac represent your 2 feet that stand on the ground. This is why Jesus was a fisher of men. So you can essentially say Jesus was Aquaman.
wow. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
I mean, Pisces equals 23 in numerology, and so does crown, blood, history. All that is 23.
And that's 23rd letter is the Trident in the Greek.
Trident, the W, yeah.
Man, you guys get me so much more interested in numbers than I ever was.
Well, Logan's OG, man.
This was just a random tangent, but the number 8 in particular has been the one that made me fascinated with like gematria and just in general, because I found out that the letter H and the number 8, they sound and look so similar because they used to be the exact same thing, that the numbers and the letters were interchangeable. And the fact that we still have a remnant of that today through the Phoenician language, it blows my mind, because there's so many things where it's like, okay, yeah, those 2 things sound alike. Okay, yeah, those 2 things look alike. No, this is legitimately a direct link to something we're using right now every day in the computer we're looking at right now, right? They all have this interconnection between the letter and the number of 8 and H. So it feels like there's a reason why those things are paired together, and it's not just happenstance.
I have a slide and pictures of that letter too to share.
And the top OG cipher, Chaldean, is based on 1 through 8, which adds
phonetics.
Yep. That's why I'm so in love. I used to think the number 36 was bad because it was connected to 666. Now I love it. It's my favorite number that I've researched, and I know what it really represents, because, certain people within the gematria community, they were just teaching the wrong way when I was coming up, and they were teaching us a lot of stuff that wasn't true, and I just had to re-educate myself with it. But yeah, man, that 36 is actually a very powerful number. And
the Homer Simpson, it's kind of just going back, but I want to notate since it's on my screen. But Homer Simpson, the Simpsons in their kitchen, their clock, it is the 8-pointed star. But I think it goes even deeper, as well than just that one symbol.
No, it is the Simpsons clock in.
And even like the United Nations too got the, like you could. It's all over the place.
But the Simpsons connection, thanks for reminding me that, Doe-Nut, because I need to add that. My 8-pointed star blog, I'm constantly going back and adding stuff to it. Because, I just want when people, there's certain blogs that I do that I write at the bottom, check back because I'll be updating this one, because you always find new stuff and it doesn't make sense to redo a whole new blog. I just update it. But yeah, man, the 8-pointed star, it fascinates me so much. And a lot of people that are very religious, they believe that it's the star of the fallen angels. Um, but there is a connection there with Anu and the Watchers and all that. But yeah, man, it's just a symbol that's fascinated me for a long time. And me and Doe-Nut, when we first got together doing our little decode and stuff, that was one we were heavily entrenched in, the 8-pointed
Yeah,
star.
we were obsessed with it. Yeah.
We were obsessed with it for like 6 months straight, dude.
I'm curious. I don't, not to put anyone on the spot, but Logan, you were talking about Cartagena a little bit earlier before we started recording, and my understanding is that it basically went from Canaan to Phoenicia, which was like everything, and then it got concentrated in Carthage, and then Cartagena is basically New Carthage. So, is there any like modern day remnants of Ishtar and Astarte and Tanit and this 8-pointed star like in modern day Cartagena?
Tanit, yes, it's got the 8-pointed star in it though.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys. I mean, I'll just be straight up. Like, it's tied right to Lucifer. I mean, you could tie it right to Jesus because the word 8 in numerology equals 18. Jesus and Christ both equal 18. I mean, this is all Lucifer reference, which is the light bringer, which is just the sun coming down and working through water. Because if you really look at the sun and the makeup of the sun through the periodic table, it's the element hydrogen and helium. Those two elements, 1 and 2. Are basically the makeup of the sun. They first measure the sun with helium. So helium being the number 2 element, it goes and gets its origins from the number 1 element, which is hydrogen. And hydrogen comes from the Greek words hydro and genes, water genes. So what is our body made up of primarily? Water. And the physical part is going to be calcium, which is going to be in your bones and teeth. So hydrogen and helium are the makeup of the sun. That's really what it comes down to. And it's light and water. That's our entire reality is water and light. That's what makes up our entire reality. If you think about it, it's water and light. You need both of those to form a life, to give life to things. You need water and you need light to do that.
Yep, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely is true.
And
And so, what do you think about the whole Trident symbolism? So we see the Trident connected to the whole nuclear program, the nuclear Trident, right? And then you have with 9/11, the memorial was they had the little Trident, big Trident. We've seen that same symbolism on flight MH370, the Malaysian flight that went missing. On the tail wing, it had the big Trident, the little Trident. In front of CERN is Shiva, who has the trident that destroyed the 3 worlds.
yeah.
So what's your view on that, Brother Logan? And we got our boy Ani Asoru up in the house right now.
Yo, yo, yo.
What up, Ani?
What's up?
What's up,
What's up,
family?
Ani?
What's happening? It's good to
Yeah,
be
there
on.
it is. That's a representation of the big trident, little trident.
Well, I mean,
Me and-
just go to the W, like Jay or Donut said. The W being the 23rd letter is the letter that represents the trident, and that W can be flipped upside down and it forms the letter M, and that's the actual pattern the sun makes as it moves and zigzags across the sky like a pendulum. So it can form the letter S, the letter W, the letter M, the number 5. So the W being the 23rd letter, which is tied to the words crown, blood, history, all in Chaldean numerology, being the royal star of the lion in numerology, which is considered when I started studying numerology, 23 was like the luckiest number. I know there's no such thing as luck, but it was considered the luckiest number. So you're going to see a lot of tie-ins to that, the number 23. And it's tied to the magic wand of the tarot. This is the 23rd card in the deck. This is abracadabra. This is the Hollywood card. This is how they make their movies this is the Harry Potter wand right in the hand of the card there. And this is the 23rd card in the deck. And this is tied right to Poseidon, right to it.
And the letter H, what Paranoid was saying, how it's 8 and it looks like an 8. W, the 23rd letter, it has 2 points up and then 3 points. So it's 23 right there too, which I thought was crazy when I heard that.
Nice catch.
That's a good catch, yeah.
You mentioned last night I was watching on Instagram, Gary the Numbers guy. He was doing this interview, and he said they asked him what number runs this reality. And dude, I wanted to jump in on that interview so bad. He said the number 13, and he's breaking down why he thinks 13 is the number of the Matrix. And I just want to tell him, dude, talk about the reflection of 13, 31 being the Matrix. But of course, he never got into that. He was talking about the 12 disciples plus one, Jesus 13. I forget what he connected with the 12 zodiacs plus one is 13. It might have been the sun, but you have the 12 jurors plus one, the judge of 13. So he just kept tying it and saying the 13 bloodlines, which it's funny when he does talk about that though, because he mentions families like the Rothschilds and the Kennedys, and like, dude, them people ain't no one. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes ain't no one. The real families that are in power, you never hear their name. So it has nothing to do with no Rothschild, or them are just front people. But yeah, that 13 connection I thought was fascinating. And the 13th card in the tarot deck is what? Death card?
Yep.
Death.
So, but keep in mind the word Ankh equals the number 13. The Trident in Greek is called the Triana. That's 13. Triana is 13. Yep. And then the reason why 13 is probably the most powerful number is because it is the makeup of the golden ratio and pi, which is 1.611 and then 3.143. So 1 and 3 are the makeup of the 13. And that's why these numbers are very, very powerful.
And there's the water connection too to 13. Because M, I believe M is the 13th letter, right?
Exactly.
And M is mem, or the water waves.
Yep.
So he was right.
Which is the opposite of the W.
Yep.
When he said 13 was the number of the Matrix, he was kind of right on that.
I think so.
Shout out to Gary the Numbers guy. I wanted to jump in on it so bad and just say, what about the 31 connection? Because that literally is the Matrix, 31. And that's another number I'm fascinated with. 31. If I had to pick my favorite number, I would say it's 36. But 31 is another one I'm super fascinated with. Anya Soru, my brother, what's up? Did you get a chance to watch Aquaman: The Last Kingdom?
I was supposed to watch it last night, and I wasn't able to watch it. But I was talking about it with someone, the first one. They were explaining, my friend was explaining it to me yesterday, what was going on with it. But no, I wasn't able to watch it.
Have you watched other Aquaman?
Yeah, I saw the first one.
Okay. And do you know anything about the mythology of Neptune or Poseidon, or you got any knowledge like that for us?
Yeah, the main thing is the symbol of the trident that they're, circulating right now in esoteric circles, especially connected with the Ukrainian situation. I don't know if y'all went over that, that association. Also, Biden, his name means Bident, which is a two-sided trident. So he represents Neptune, actually. He's a form of Neptune, and he's a form of Saturn because he's older. And,
I thought the Bident was Set's weapon. The Bident, ain't that connected to Set?
Well, the
Hades. I'm sorry, Hades. My apologies.
Yeah, Hades. Yeah. But Hades, there's archetypes with the trident and the bident that plays on the underworld theme, and Neptune is connected to all of those archetypes, and it's connected to the dream realm in the color blue, mainly the color blue. And the reason why it's blue because he represents the Democratic Party, which is blue, and the blue is also associated with Israel in their flag.
Yep.
Which the conflict in Ukraine connects to the situation going on in Israel. And there is a Kabbalistic association with Neptune to the third sphere of the upper triad of the Kabbalah, which is Chokmah. And Chokmah, really when reality, the Kabbalah is 10 diagrammatical glyphs telling us how reality is formed. There's a cascade of white light that comes out of Keter, and when it hits Hokmah, which is the blue Sephiroth is what they call it, the circular diagram. The blue, or the Neptunian energy of the blue, is what differentiates the quantum chromodynamics of color and makes it the rainbow, so we can get all of the colors that cascade down. So the association with blue in mythologies, especially associated with Israel in the Talmud, the blue is representative of Lilith, which she is also associated with dreams, because the Shekinah, the female feminine form of God, what we're studying right now on my Patreon, she represents what the blue is to Israel. So they cloak themselves. The flag is what cloaks themselves, and it wraps themselves around it, because Ghislaine Maxwell in this Epstein situation, she had a submarine nobody's talking about. Speaking of Neptune, and the list is a distraction. The real list is who was on that submarine with her. Her Terramar Project, nonprofit organization that she had that was funded through Epstein. And Epstein Island has a submarine-based tunnel, and Biden's brother, James Biden, owned an island right next to Epstein Island called Water Island, associated with Neptune. So the Biden family owns the island right next door to Little St. James, because there's big St. James and there's Little St. James, and then there's Water Island. And guess what? In the 1940s, Water Island was a submarine base.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, what was you talking about with how on that island they were trying to mirror the flat earth and hell and all that? Can you break that down real quick?
Well, what we're going into in my Underworld Tunnel series, what I'm understanding in classified military documents, is that we have underwater bases. I didn't believe it. Doe-Nut sent me the book. One of the guys, it's funny, a guy named is Richard Salter. Yeah, show him the book real quick. The guy named is Richard Salter. His name equals 201 in gematria. I don't know
that's what I'm working on right now, Ani. A whole video on underground tunnels. The last one I did, it got 10,000 shares in 24 hours, bro. Like, people are on that right now. So
hold that up. Hold that up again. Yeah, that is one of the vehicles they use to tunnel right there.
It looks like an 8-pointed star too.
It also looks like, it's a phallic. It's phallic, but the underworld in underwater is feminine, because what they're preparing, the Kabbalistic wizards, the association with gematria, they're creating their own reality, of course, and that's Aletheism. And what they're trying to do is go up underground, and it's really related to the Talmud. The Talmud speaks about 7 heavens, and it speaks about these 7 hells connected to Sheol, Sheol. That's their form of hell. It's also called Gehenna. Epstein's Island represented a model of the Talmud's flat earth, because he has the 7 blue stripes on the side of his temple, if you remember. And it has the golden dome. The golden dome above represents the eyelid of God. But it also is associated with the underworld, because people aren't speaking about Epstein Island having a bunker and tunnel right underneath it. And the submarine base that's connected to Epstein Island, to Water Island, is one of the biggest uncovering mysteries that is classified right now for you to find information. But the point is, he's recreating the Talmud flat earth. I'm gonna do a video this week to break it down esoterically, but basically in the Talmud, God punishes Lilith when she doesn't want to get on top of Adam, if you know what I mean, get on top.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. That's the only reason why she's punished. So it has something to do with sex. But anyways, he punishes her to go into the sea. And she says, I'll kill 100 of your children, because she mates with Samael. God's upper half, his feminine half is the Shekinah, his satanic half is Lilith. And Lilith is the archetype that Ghislaine Maxwell represents in her submarine, because Lilith can't be killed because she's associated with the water. And you have Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father was in the Mossad, which is the CIA equivalent to America over there in Israel. She's also, her and Epstein is connected with Mossad, but they gave her this submarine. And they were collecting women around, well, we're not going to get into the children half. Let's just stick on the women. And the women were becoming Lilith surrogates for them to take these women up underground. I'm about to interview a woman who was a victim. Her name is, what is her name?
Is she the one from Arizona?
I think she's not from Arizona. I think she's from Texas. I got to remember. Her name is Juliet Bryant. I want you guys to follow this woman. And she got all of these arcs. She was saying when she woke up, she was in a bunker or somewhere underground at Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. That's 30 miles from Dulce Bay.
33 acre Zorro Ranch. They love that 33, don't they? Hillary,
Right.
33 emails, 33 acre Zorro Ranch.
So that was by Dulce?
That was 30 miles from Dulce. Not only that,
hold on, Ani. Did you see the video, though, that the temple's fake?
What temple?
On Epstein Island, it's fake. There's the doors painted on. It's a movie set.
I heard that
I have the raw video.
I'm understanding now. They see this other guy named Stephen Deckoff, who is worth 3.3 billion. Go figure. 33 billion, bought the island like 2 years ago, and he destroyed the temple, and now they got this fake model up there. The temple is real. Now they got a fake model because he's worth 3.3 billion.
Oh,
and
that's
he's
her story. All I know is the one we've been led to believe that there's stuff under.
It's not there no more.
It's not real.
It was real, but it's not there no more.
That's the narrative. Me and you don't know if it's real. We never seen it.
We're coming up on the 33rd Summer Olympics as well, so that's going to play a huge role in the rituals coming up for 2024. And you brought up Dulce from that Underground Tunnel and Bases book. It brought up Paul Benowitz, who was under MK Ultra mind control, and a lot of the alien stories of aliens hijacking people and putting them in there or whatever was that Dulce base was the underground alien type story in ufology. So Zorro Ranch, where Epstein was seeding his DNA, they were like using cow uteruses and stuff to put the elite's body parts in so they can live long.
You really went left on Poseidon to Epstein, didn't we, guys?
we did, but it's interesting.
The connection is the submarine. Neptune, the symbol of Ukraine, and Biden, who owns, his family owns a water. His name Water Island. We didn't go nowhere. We're right here. It's called Water Island. Look it up right now. It's called Water Island. Type in James Biden. They're still playing on the archetype of Poseidon, is what I'm saying. And it's connected to Epstein because there's a submarine base connected from water. Water Island is 30 miles from goddamn Epstein Island. It's not far from it. It's right there. And there's an underwater submarine base that nobody's talking about. in that book that he gave me, it proves that there's a bunch of submarine under ground facilities that the military has. It even proves where the budget comes from with this stuff. How do they get the budget? And he has quotes from people talking about this new budget that they're sucking out of the American economy and other economies and stuff to fund this type stuff. And and Epstein, he represents Samael. Ghislaine Maxwell, Lilith, when they create these demons. Now, this woman, Juliet Bryant, she is saying that the women were collected so they can get their eggs, so they can grow the transhuman bodies for the elite to transfer their conscience to. And guess what? Church of Scientology has a church right next to Zorro Ranch and Dulce Base. And the people in the church said that Lafayette Ron Hubbard would be resurrected at this Church of Scientology. It's called, what is the name of that church they have?
Well, you think they're going to clone him, L. Ron?
He's coming back. Yeah, it's already, they're called the Thetan, just like Satan. The Scientologists, their nickname is Thetans, is representative to Theta, which is a brainwave. You know, the Theta brainwave is where the creativity and the deep subconscious is, right? And that's associated with the color blue and quantum chromodynamics. But the point is, it all relates to what's going on with Aquaman, because you got these submarine, I don't know, they got these elites in these submarines going from base to base, and we know nothing about it. But I remember on Adult Swim, I don't know if you remember this, Thomas. You remember the show C Lab 2021?
Yeah. That was actually right when I had my music was being placed on Adult Swim. Was that same exact time that C Lab was big?
I love C Lab 2021, but I'm starting to believe that it was something esoteric and true about C Lab 2021. But yeah.
And also, Tommy, you were talking about on Truth Mafia website the facility, right? That crazy. There's crazy story, but looking at that town, this town is full of mystery that Tommy can explain, but it's connected to what Ani's saying with the water and the underground bases. Something with water without Felicity. And yeah, so
these crazy.
Yeah, so these underground, this is connected to Felicity as well. So these underground bases, they're using water. So they'll have all these private citizens purchase stuff on rivers or oceans. So all these private citizens purchasing all this land so they can build underground bases connected to water. It's super wild. And it makes me think of BlackRock, like how they're buying all these different places, because there's two ways to build these tunnels. And that's like going down directly or going into a mountain. Now, if you look at this town's emblem, the emblem to this town, and you can explain this town to everybody, but look at their emblem. You see a mountain, kind of like NORAD. That's where they put the underground bases. And you see a stream of water because this town's right next to a river, as I was looking at it on the maps and whatnot, reading this book.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a
connection. It's got a depiction of Adam and Eve too, etched in the town's granite slab. Which Adam and Eve is 26, like Felicity. That number of the archons right there. And they got a pyramid. They say it's the center of the world here. And dude, it is weird though. When you go into the church, bro, the freaking church. Look at this. The church got these chairs in there. They say they do like mockery type rituals at the church, but it kind of looks like it's bloodstained.
Yeah,
in these chairs, dude. And that's coming out of the bottom area. Now there's also 3 tombstones behind that church. And Ani, this town is so bizarre, brother. So this sheriff went here to investigate it. He left his family, never went home again, and now he never left the town. A reporter goes to investigate the town. Guess what? He leaves his family, never comes back. So there's rumors that there's an underground city under this town. And the guy that built the town is a Rothschild.
So there you go. Like the city. right there. Yeah, and if you look at the
Whoa.
emblem, so the emblem is crazy though, because it's all the symbols of what takes to build the underground cities. It's wild. I'm trying to look for it. I'll send you the link.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what's happening. What we don't realize, the
Oh, here
secret
it
is
is.
underground, man. And
Of
what
course
it
it
is,
is.
it's a Hebrew word called la'avo. La'avo means to flip the world. And what they're doing is they're going underground. And when they start off the nuclear wars, they're already about to start off. I see JayDreamerZ covering the plasma aspect to it. There's going to be a transference of the Judahites underground, and they believe that they're going to destroy the Gentiles with this nuclear war. They're going to be underground for like 100 years, 1,000 years, and
that sounds fun.
they think that the black sun underground is going to give them something called it's a morphogenetic field change to their DNA. They call it shining darkness. But it's connected to the black sun, and they
Yeah.
think when the nuclear debris subsides, when they come back to the surface, they're going to be the androgyne angels, the Nephilim of the Bible, and they had inherited the earth from destroying the Gentile nations. And I got a lot of information covering that.
Remember that episode we did, Ani, on the angelic DNA and all that?
Yeah.
Since we did that episode, I found so many more connections, brother. And there's a lot of connections to what you just mentioned, the black sun.
Right.
So that's fascinating that you just said that, bro. And they talk about
Tommy, can you pull me up when you got a chance too?
Can I what, brother?
Pull up my screen.
Oh yeah. Here, I'm sorry.
I had some of this up when Ani was talking, because I got a crazy deep sync that I've never heard anybody talk about on any channel in a while. But yeah, here's the water island that he's talking about, and they've got this underwater base. This is the only picture of it. This is Fort Segura, and they basically they make it sound like they only started on it, right?
Hold
it's
on,
like
go back up real quick.
Uh,
Can you go back up? What's that 314? The Army Constructed Battery 314. Look at that pi number, Logan.
Wow. That is pi.
Check
Oh,
out check the latitude longitude.
Look at the anti-motor 818th.
What's the longitude and longitude on
18 latitude, bro. That's water. Water equals 18.
Really?
Wow.
But yeah, this
Really?
isn't even the crazy thing that I had in store, because what Ani was saying, I'm 100% on board with the Ghislaine Maxwell, like the deep water excavations. And if you think about this for just a split second, the amount of resources it takes to do something, to basically go all the way underwater, all the way underground, it's like you'd have to be rich enough to be a country, right? And there's only been a few people in the world. Look at the Boring Company, right? Elon Musk, he's as rich as a country would be. The last rich person to try to do this was Howard Hughes, and the reason they did this is because they figure, okay, we want to dig as far deep as we can into the earth, but it would be so much easier if we just went to the bottom of the ocean, because the ocean's already kind of done some of that work for us. Like it's already trying to get down into the earth. So if we go down as far as we can to the deepest part and then start drilling there, then we kind of get a head start. So
Don't forget the Shamir. Don't forget the billionaires that died on the water.
Shamir.
Yeah, part of the Bohemian Club.
That died on the water.
Yeah, part of the Bohemian Club.
This
Like you're talking about that submarine?
Yes, that's connected to all. They're trying to tell you, bro. Go ahead, Thomas.
so this was the last time that someone tried, before the Shamir, the little Titanic explorer. This is the Glomar Explorer, and this is a boat that got repurposed by Howard Hughes, and he spent a lot of money working with the government, the CIA in particular, because it was like, hey, the U.S. needs to get into the center of the earth before the Soviets get to the center of the earth, or before the Chinese get to the center of the earth. So they had this joint project. And this one, you can also look up Deep Sea Drilling Project, DSDP, from 1968 to 1983. And I'm sure they just magically stopped at 83. They were like, you know what? We've invested 20 years of this. Let's just walk away. Let's try something else now. This is getting boring. But if you look into this, I think that there's a lot of evidence that the government did get somewhere. They did get to drill all the way down and found something. And then it was like, okay, nothing else to see here for the last 40 years.
Wow.
You can only, yeah. Plus Howard Hughes is HH, which is 88, which is like there's a lot of symbolism connecting.
I really think
That's
this Bomar Explorer has a lot going on with it.
That's the portal symbolism too. 88. That's, remember, we have the Lionsgate portal on 8/8, and then we had a Lahaina fire happen in the 808. There's a ton of symbolism connected.
But you remember the blue Tommy? The blue Tommy on the houses in Lahaina?
Yeah. The blue didn't burn, right?
The blue is connected. What I just told you. It's Hokmah of the Kabbalah. It's Kabbalistic magic. And it's connected to Neptune. It's connected to everything that we're talking about on here. It's definitely gematria based because we got the numbers. Remember, I gave you the 127 Polynesian connection.
Yeah, right.
And then you have they were talking about the rock and
that's
masonry.
the master of symbolism
now,
too.
Hey, which is honestly how I did a prediction that I was right on, was based on that 127 information you gave me. So that led me down a crazy rabbit hole, which I gave you credit in my blog, like I always do, you know.
Appreciate it, brother. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's fascinating how it's all connected to Poseidon and Neptune. And I heard this girl, I forget her channel now. It's very similar to Logan. Something, she does gematria. She's like a.
I know you're talking about. I'm gonna bring her
you
on.
know what I'm talking about? And she
She's
calls
Hispanic,
Neptune
right?
false tune. Yeah, she says it's like false
Yeah.
tunes sending out this false frequency of this reality. I love that lady.
Yeah, she has a plasma apocalypse group that I'm a part of, but she gets deep in it.
I gotta get Jay hip to her and Logan hip to her because she's very she has to be a fan of Logan's because she connects a lot of things that he does as far as on the periodic table. I never see no one doing that until Logan, and she does that.
With Logan. Logan, you do good work with the Chaldean cipher. I figured out a lot of stuff with the Chaldean, studying what you uncovered with the gematria on the Chaldean side.
Appreciate it. Yeah. We're all just trying to chip away at all this kind of stuff. It's not just, I mean, I don't know, Chaldean, obviously you guys know it's like been my foundation, but when I personally as a decoder, when you know how to use these ciphers, they have their own foundations to them. So if you don't mix and match them, that's where you'll find the magic. If you start mixing and matching in them, it waters down the results. So, like the Pythagorean cipher, which uses the numbers 1 through 9, that if you know how to use that, it's like using the saw when you're supposed to saw the wood, So it's very important as a decoder to use these ciphers when their proper moments arise, and that takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, because there's people out there that they'll use 7 different ciphers.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just, I mean, you can, but you just, because there's a lot of numbers that match a lot of the numbers.
Yeah,
words that match a lot of numbers. So as a decoder, I've said to my audience, just use one and get your vocabulary down with one. And then when you get it all memorized, then move on to the next one. And you'll see how it just all falls into place, especially with the periodic table. Like that to me is the bridge. It's the golden bridge. I mean, everything's through alchemy. I mean, there's Neptuniums on the periodic table. I mean, Neptune has
the destiny cards in there too, bro, with the
of course.
turbo, and it's just a whole nother level.
Well, that shows the picture. So you get alchemy to show the bridge of the numbers through the spoken word, through the mathematics, and then you get into sine and cosine waves, pi, phi, sine. All these are very important measures, but the periodic table has been the biggest probably game changer. And there is an element called Neptunium on the periodic table, and it has 93 protons, and they say the sun is 93 million miles away. So is there any merit to this Neptunian? Yes, of course. Where does it sit? And not, when you add its electrons, protons, and neutrons together, 93 and 237, it gives you 330. So that's that 33. And why the 33? Why is it so special? Well, you go to the 33rd element on the periodic table, which is called arsenic, and the sublimation of arsenic, which means it goes right to a gas. It doesn't have to go through the 3 stages, is 616 degrees Celsius. And 616 is the great beast, which is the portal, the Stargate. It's the zodiac symbol. It's the 12 signs with the Jesus Christ in the middle, which that is the great beast above, which is harvesting energy. That's what harvests all our energy, and it runs this entire reality. Is the celestials with the sun, with the moon. That's how I have it pegged personally myself. But the 616 being tied to arsenic being poisonous. The isotope of arsenic is 75. 75 is Lucifer.
They say that's the true number of the beast on Papyrus 115 too.
Yeah, 616.
And then ritual sacrifice, I think, is 616. So that's definitely fascinating. The only time I use multiple ciphers, Logan, is if I'm doing a reading and I'm just trying to look at numbers with the person's name. You know, if I'm like looking at their a name decode, that's the only time I use multiple ciphers. When I'm like decoding a movie or something, my people will tell you I'm always mostly on Chaldean. Once in a while, I like English or Latin.
I like English too.
Latin is like the only one that really is technically gematria, right? Hebrew.
Yeah, I mean, I like doing the foreign languages. You know, especially if you're going to decode the Bible, you got to go to the original Hebrew and Greek. You know, that's how you're really going to find out the nitty gritty on all the biblical stuff. I mean, I just did a decode on my last one I put out called God, I can't even think of the name of decode. But anyway, I decoded the 50th book of the Bible because that's Ephesians. Ephesians is the 50th book of the Bible, and there's a scripture in there, Ephesians 6 verses 13. Which talks about putting on the full suit of armor of God to protect you. And the 50th card in the cards of illumination is the Jack of Spades. The Jack of Spades converts to the Knight of Swords, and that's going to be the Knight of Armor. That the Knight of Swords is going to be there. So
the Neo code is 50 in Chaldean. That 50 number is huge too, bro.
Dude, it's the 50 Bitcoin mine. 50 is the Tin Man. It is the Tin. It's the Tin Man of the Wizard of Oz who's looking for his heart, and that converts to the King of Hearts, which is the 13th card in the deck. And that's, guess whose birth card that is? Joe Biden. Joe Biden has the King of Hearts.
Wow.
And 50 represents in
what
Lil
that
too.
happened with Maui, guys. That was in the 50th state, in the 50-year anniversary of hip hop. Honey brought that up, you know, which just happened to be on Harp's anniversary too. That's kind of weird to me. But yeah, there was a whole connection to 50 Cent and Doe-Nut. Remember when we decoded 50 and he had that star card connection? I think it was connected to maybe his first project or something, or it might have been his birthday.
No, the name of the TV production company is Stars.
Yeah, but he actually has the star card in the tarot deck connected to him.
That's what I'm saying. That's probably why he's connected to Stars.
Which is the 17th card, right? 1 + 7 is 8. It has the 8-pointed star on it. And then Nibiru is 17, which is a representation of that 8-pointed star. It's all connected, dude. It's so fascinating. But Jay, I'm gonna let you do your breakdown on precise or this movie, brother.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Make sure I let everybody get their part in. Ani, that was fascinating, bro. And me and you could do a podcast if you want on that subject. We'll have to do it on my my Facebook because I'm scared to get into that too deep on YouTube. You know how they are. But
yeah.
My Facebook right now, bro, is jumping. So we got 540 people in here. Make sure you smash them likes.
All right. So just to preface, I got a whole bunch of screenshots from the movie. So if you guys haven't seen it, you're about to, basically. Like lots of stuff to cover. And feel free to jump in. Damn.
We're ready, brother.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Stretching and everything. This is gonna get serious.
It's gonna get damn deep right now.
I don't even need to watch the movie now. That's good. I could just watch it through your lens, bro.
All right, sweet. Let's do it. So this is one of the things. They went down into Antarctica, right? And they're showing you this weird creature that they found down in Antarctica, which, you know, also has like a little star thing. I talk about monsters, you know, specifically those that come up and rise up from inside the hollow parts of the earth, and then those that float down from above. I call them phantazoids. So for me, this is phantazoid reference. These are some actual creatures that are found in Antarctica. This is like a 20-armed weird creature. I don't even know what it is. They call this like some strawberry monster. or something because it looks like it's got a strawberry in the middle. Look at the color, right? A lot of these monsters or even aliens are depicted with this type of an off-white sort of a color. This one I posted on my channel in the community section. Some weird new creature they just found too. Look at the teeth on that.
That thing freaks me out, dude. That whole look.
Yeah, these are scary, right? These are monsters, and a lot of them, they don't have eyes or stuff like that, which is a lot of modern movie monsters are starting to be portrayed this way too. That
What are them things on it, Jay? Is them hairs?
Yeah, there's some kind of like hairs, frills,
Oh
and
my
something.
Lord.
Yeah, this one's actually really tiny compared to like this one right here. This one's pretty gigantic. The tardigrade, you know, they make a really big deal about tardigrades in the news, how they can survive any type of atmosphere or conditions. And they always talk about tardigrades being able to survive extreme conditions like being in space, which is a weird thing to say for me. That just implies alien, you know what I mean? For me, there's this one called the Ninjin. This is more of a cryptid, Japanese cryptid. People say they sighted this strange. It's also white in Antarctica.
I heard about that, dude. And they said that people down there that were fishing seen it a lot, and there's like stories of it, sailors going missing connected to that damn thing.
Yeah. Yep, Antarctica, the connection with the portals and to the North Pole as well.
You know what it looks like? A dolphin with legs.
Yeah, or you know what I was thinking? It looks like what are those legendary humanoids that don't have their heads are on their chest?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are they? What are you talking about?
Fudge, I can't remember the name of them.
Yeah, it's like Juan talked about it. I can't remember the name either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody look it up and let me know. So check this out. There's I talked about on my channel, I talk about omens of the apocalypse and, you know, getting all the omens from everybody. This is one of them too, is there's blood falls in Antarctica. There's a waterfall of what looks like blood just pouring out. Right. Now, I think this also, I don't think it's actual blood, but it matters not if it's an omen, but it has a lot to do with alchemy, chemistry, and the elements and how the elements are changing in the world that we live in today, right? Not only that, but life coming out of the ice, specifically alien life, as portrayed in so many movies where they either go to the North Pole or to Antarctica and there are some kind of alien life. This is a shot from the movie. They fall down into the ice cracks open. They fall down into like into the inner part of Antarctica. And this reminded me of this, you know, this sort of a scene from I Pet Goat 2, right? Where they kind of start off, it looks like they're inside of the ice.
Right.
Or like, you know, underground in Antarctica or something. And then he goes down even further and you can see some mega structures or superstructure. Those are starting to pop up in the news. They're talking about superstructures being found deep at the bottoms of the oceans, just like we've seen in Japan, right? There's these ancient structures that are clearly there, giving evidence of a worldwide flood or deluge and the civilizations that came before during the quote unquote age of stone or the Stone Age, where they built many of their cities out of stone. This one's in Cuba. This is a Cuba underwater city right here.
Yeah, this is that spot right here where the news report where it's tying into the world's heating up agenda.
Yes.
You see this in all the movies. It's always the same story if it's yeah. And look at the time code 1124. That's how long the movie is.
Oh, interesting.
1 hour and 24 minutes.
I see the blue. All I'm seeing is blue. I promise you, it's connected.
I also think it's connected too. So as a part of the plasma apocalypse theory that I talk about a color spectrum shift and the sun changing colors and going through its own spectrum shift, and that it seems to me that it's going into a blue shift right now. And blue, when you're talking about light, means hotter, or especially if you focus the light more, which would give you less daytime. And that brings us to like the shortening of the days, etc. And all the symbolism of the sun destroying the earth, etc. So when Aquaman goes down into his little underwater, city, there's like a council, right? There's like this council of Atlanteans, and the council is talking about how the Earth is on the verge of being destroyed. They would blame it on humanity. I lean more towards nature and stuff like that. Not that we don't play a part of it, but we're part of humanity. I mean, we're part of nature. So one of the things they talked about was they asked this council what's wrong, and they said, well, the acidification of the ocean is one. So here's an example of the ocean water becoming more acidic. And this is seen in news stories across the world where waters are turning red all over the place. Red rivers, red lakes, and the ocean itself eventually too, which I'll make a point with here in just a second. But you can see it says that carbon dioxide, right? And then plus water, plus CO, carbonate, iron, or whatever. Anyways, it's the acidification of the ocean, right? Because when it becomes, well, let me show you. I'll show you right here. This says, I typed in heat releases oxygen from the water. So let's say that that the atmosphere is heating up, but more specifically, I'm going to say that the sun is heating up and that the light from the sun is becoming more potent. So if that were true and the sun itself is actually heating up the surface of the water, and on top of that, gases that are being released from inside of the earth as it gets ready to give birth once more are also being released, which is giving us, potholes and sinkholes and earthquake lights and all these things as the gases become ionized. When water heats up, the temperature of the water increases, the amount of oxygen that the water can hold decreases. So it starts to release all of its oxygen, and that results in less oxygen available for aquatic organisms, which give you dead fish and, animals dying left and right in the ocean. Also, it makes for a much better situation, a living condition for bacteria in the ocean, specifically cyanobacteria, which is something I'm studying. Which is like that blue-green color. We were talking about that earlier. That blue-green color for cyanobacteria. I don't know if people know this, but more than 50% of the entire world's ocean are now green. They're not blue. So the oceans are changing color. They're going through their own spectrum shift or color spectrum shift. Now, the problem with this is that the green bacteria in the ocean, which it's turning, more than 50% of the ocean is already turning green or has already turned green. If it gets too bright, that bacteria has a defense mechanism and it will turn red in order to protect itself, which leads to toxic algae or red tide, basically. And red tide is, I believe, one of the prophecies biblically where it talks about the oceans turning blood red. That would be one of the huge signs to look for. And that would have a domino effect, killing off so many things, releasing these toxins into the air and into the atmosphere of the world across, causing, respiratory sicknesses and stuff. The water's all turning red. So many of them are turning red. For the past few years, there's unlimited numbers of examples on the internet right now. Gigantic lakes, places that are unheard of, the waters are all turning red and stuff like that. These are just examples, how it would look like blood, etc.
And this makes it, by the way, because I've grown up in South Florida for a long period of time too, and this red tide makes it unbearable to just exist. Like you can't breathe, you're coughing, it'll stay with you, you can smell it.
Yeah.
It kills and it basically shuts down the entire city. Like no one's going there and spending money or going to restaurants or none of that. So just the mere presence of this will kill the city itself, not just the fish in like an obvious way, but like metaphorically, like it will kill that entire region.
And people will go around and swim in it and stuff too. Like there's a huge rise I've noticed in you'll see videos of people swimming around in the waters that that light up, right? That they light up that sort of a blue color. It looks really pretty and stuff. However, that can be extremely dangerous too, because that's basically red tide. It's just not red. It lights up. You know what I mean? Whenever you whenever you move it and stuff. But another byproduct of the water heating up is that it expands. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people sort of have either overlooked or haven't considered, which would make there appear to be more water. So imagine the ocean's water levels from the top and the bottom are becoming hotter, they would expand, which would raise the levels of the ocean, or the ocean levels, right? So not just ice melting, basically, and it's could possibly be an actual expansion of the water. This right here, oh man, like this is when I was like, I'm getting deep. Like they brought up orichalcum, which has come up so many times in my studies. Orichalcum is, it's related to Atlantis and the stories of Atlantis. Historic records from Plato and others, they've spoken on Atlantis as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Was the orichalcum, was that the stuff that was the energy source they were using?
Yes.
That was killing everything.
Yes.
It was bad though. Okay.
Yes. Right. So this is ancient, the legends say this is ancient Atlantean, a rare metal that we are unaware of today, or that we don't have today, but they had it during the time of the Atlanteans, and the Atlanteans would dig it up, and they would, it was holy to them. It was a holy metal. It was special, and it was worth more than gold because it was extremely rare. But more than its rarity, its rarity was sort of besides the point. It's what it did, and it did so many different things. So I have here, according to Critias of Plato, the inner wall surrounding the citadel of Atlantis with the temple of Poseidon flashed with the red light of orichalcum. So they decked everything. This was a holy substance, but it's because of the effect it had on the people as well. Not just because it was pretty, not just because it was rare, but because of what it did. It had an effect on people. I also found that there's a connection to Energon. This orichalcum is the exact same cartoonified substance. If we look at it, through motifs across fiction, the Transformers also had their version of orichalcum, which glows red. They called it Energon, right? So here's a little clip I took from Rise of the Beast, Transformers Rise of the Beast. In the middle here, you basically have, and I broke this movie down on my channel too, but up here, this would be a type of Mount Meru symbolism, or Rupus Nigra. You'll have to excuse the train. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about the train. And then right here, you see how the rocks are turning blue? That's because this mountain, basically, which is to me a type of plasma volcano, it erupted, and all of that energy shoots up from the earth. Terrestrial energy, a terrestrial energetic charge, reverses once we go through this polarity shift, and it comes up through cavernous systems inside of the earth. And all that energy charges and activates certain metals, or makes them radioactive. Now, radioactive doesn't always have to mean bad, or it's going to kill us. I know that's sort of a stigma that radioactive substances have. You can see it over here too. But that's another thing that it does, is it makes the metals glow. In Rise of the Beast, Bumblebee died. They put him on top of this, which for all intents and purposes is an orichalcum bed, right? Which this is, man, there's so many connections with this type of stuff, especially when you research stories about people who've gone into the earth, into the hollows of the earth. You put him on this Energon bed, and it brings him back to life. It has life-giving properties, at least throughout fiction when it's represented. So once it charges up, which is after an apocalyptic scenario, the energy emanates from this metal, and it has an effect on humans. And Tommy, we're going to talk about this more too, but it also has a connection to the Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power. Mithril, remember that?
Yeah.
The dwarves?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is basically also a type of mithril. Right here, you can see it in the Lord of the Rings. They briefly sort of brought it up in the first movie. Gandalf, it talks about mithril because Frodo had that, fancy armor that the elves gave to him or whatnot, because the elves kind of used mithril as decorative, right? Here's actual, clip from the show. This is what it looks like. They called it what'd they call it? Gray metal or gray. I forgot. They have different names for it, right? The different races or whatever. And it's just an extremely rare stone. Now, when they refine it in the Lord of the Rings, it's called Ithildin. And when it's Ithildin in this state, it actually glows under the light of the moon. And this is what you see under this this moon gate, where they had to like read this this Elvish right here. They had to read that. And it's all glowing because it's made of Ithilden, which is aka Mithril, aka Energon, aka what was that first one? Oh, orichalcum, right? Aka orichalcum. These are all tropes of the same type, right? Not only that, right? Check this out. These are all different types of radioactive elements. I want you to, oh my God, this is so crazy. I'm about to make a Superman connection right here. Plutonium glows red to orange. Curium glows pink or purple. Einsteinium glows blue. Radon glows orange-red. Technetium, which I never even heard of, ionizes with the air, glows blue. Tritium, not luminous, but glows colors. What does it say? Hold on. I don't know what that says, but that one too.
Which you usually put on like your sights, like gun sights.
Oh,
like
that's right. That's right.
sights.
Radium. This one I've been looking into radium a lot lately. This one they used to put into like watches and stuff to make it have that neon glow. And then actinium. Look at these colors of all of these radioactive elements, metals, right? They are in this day and age when energy is being siphoned from the surface world where we live down into the heart of the earth. Imagine when that energy rushes back through and goes through these different types of metals, right? This is krypton. Now, krypton has different colors to it. I had no idea till I was doing this study. There's green krypton. There's red krypton. I mean, kryptonite, but my bad. There's red kryptonite. The green one's the one we see most often, right? There's blue kryptonite. There's yellow kryptonite. There's purple kryptonite, all the exact same colors of these radioactive substances or metals, right? It's basically reflecting our actual world back to us. So that brings up for me the question, I have to re-examine this whole story of the Anunnaki mining for gold. I know we say gold. I know it's been translated as gold, but what is gold to, technologically advanced beings who live forever? Like where you can go anywhere you want, get gold or whatever. It's not as rare as these. These are more rare, and these can affect you physically, possibly extending your lifespan or regenerating your cellular structure or adding health if you know how to use them properly, right? Just like fire can be bad or good. Which also, reminded me of the dark crystal. Right. So the dark crystal, where these alien creatures basically landed on this world and took hold of this dark crystal because it extended their lifespans. Being around this dark crystal extended these vultures or reptilians, whatever you want to see them as symbolically, dressed like nobility, extended their lifespans. And it was really rare. Now, I'm going to make a connection to the movie real quick and petroglyphs, right? Take a look at these petroglyphs and then take a look. These are the Ant-Men as depicted in America on rock, right? The Ant-Man of the Hopi, etc., on different Native American tribes. Look at that weird squiggly thing right next to it. Look at this one. There's another depiction. And again, compare these right here to the actual clips from the movie of Black Manta. And those weird things that they were, those little scuba things that they had found, Atlantean technology that they were walking around in, right?
Wow. It looks just like it.
Yeah, right. It's pretty. All right. So then I wanted to get to this one too. Aquaman, they had all these Atlantean symbols in the background, but they predominantly showed this one right next to Aquaman, who is a type of, the ancient gods, etc., Atlanteans. This symbol right here represents, for me and in my research, right, there's you have sort of a dome shape going up and a dome shape going down, right? So this would, in my plasma apocalypse research, I talk about terrestrial energy that shoots up from entrances from the underworld. Okay, so this would be like a beam of energy that shoots up. And then what it does is it manipulates the energetic field around it and creates a toroidal field, basically. And this right here is a Z pinch. They call this a Z pinch right in the middle. So it sort of follows its own magnetic field. Plasma follows its own magnetic
Squatter man
field.
right there.
Yeah, so this is an example of the exact same thing. This is, some artist rendition or whatnot. This would be a toroidal field in the middle. It actually would wrap around like a donut. Shout out to Donut. Every time. This is your bagel
Donut.
symbolism too. I'll show you.
Gangsta.
That's the
So-
squatter man right there.
Yes. So this is a type of image that I believe people saw in the sky. The larger openings would create, they would have beams of light that were much stronger, much brighter, and extended much further high up into the sky before eventually separating towards the top. These are some petroglyphs of the exact same image that we've seen time and time again across the world of the quote unquote stick man, squatter man, etc. But what you can see is there's this toroidal field, and we copied this. We learned this technology. We learned, not we, but some humans who, scientists and whatnot, learned these images. This right here is the traditional Vav shape. This right here, the Vav is the 6th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, right? And Phoenician and some others too, right? So this right here is the traditional Y. It's the beam that shoots up, splits out, and branches up at the top as it gets close to the firmament, if you believe in a firmament or whatnot, because there's an electromagnetic field up there, and the plasma is opposed to it. So it shoots up, it creates this tent peg that connects the sky or the canopy and the earth. This is the great letter Vav, basically, or the great nail, the nail of Jesus, etc. And this right here in the middle is what they call the Z pinch. This is where the plasma it pinches in on itself because it's following its own magnetism. Its plasma is actually repelled by a magnet. So because it creates its own magnetic force, it will follow what's called Birkeland currents, and it will eventually collapse in towards the places where it has created the strongest magnetic force, right? And we copied this, like I said, like I was talking about. We copied this exact. I'm not saying, we did it purposefully or that humans did it purposefully, but this is exactly, this is a nuclear reactor. And there's plasma that wraps around the middle of this, and they spin it around and they draw energy. It's the most powerful thing. There's another image from inside of a nuclear reactor. They had in the movie the part where they went to where the bad guy was hiding, Black Manta, where he was basically hiding was underneath the volcano, which I'm going to come back to that because of the symbolism. But they symbolically stumbled into the center of the world, which is the hidden island. This is Kong Island, Skull Island, all these different mythic and legendary lost tribes, lost islands, etc. And they were talking about how this substance, orichalcum, which may be akin to a radioactive material, cause things to mutate and to grow. And right here, you actually have, it's hard to see without, because it's a still image, but this is a gigantic butterfly, huge. It lands on this plant right here, and this plant gobbles it up.
I'm so glad you got that. And it's a monarch butterfly. It's a giant monarch butterfly.
Yeah.
Which, the monarch is connected to mind control. What's the color code there? Orange and blue.
Orange and blue.
56, like mind control. And we got into that in our decode we did on Leave the World Behind. So great catch, Jay. I'm glad you caught that one because I forgot to screenshot it.
Yeah, no worries. I talk about this a lot when gigantism returns to our world. Right now, we're getting more oxygen because the ocean itself, which is freaking gigantic, is releasing all of this oxygen. It's losing oxygen. So those creatures inside of the ocean don't benefit, but we do, in that we get more oxygen up until the time of, atmospheric depressurization, basically. But whenever we went through a period, even academics talks about a time when we had 2 or 3 times more oxygen, and they have no idea really where it came from. They don't have really a good explanation for where all this oxygen came from, but it comes up and, it helps to contribute to things like gigantic growth, giant plants. The plants will be altogether different. Even the ones that we're used to, they're like little baby infant stages of plants right now. But whenever whenever the conditions in our world and our atmosphere change, they will go into full bloom and they'll be gigantic. And those of us who survive and keep our stature as small people, we'll feel like we're in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and many common plants will just all of a sudden become danger just, because they're gigantic basically, and they grow fast and move quick, etc. Here's that giant rat They encountered this giant rat, so this gigantism once more. And then these locusts, giant locusts, jump up from the rat, and they're being chased. There's a whole chase scene with these giant locusts, which reminds me of the book of Revelation, when it talks about the locusts that come up from the bottomless pit, aka a hole that goes down into the hollow recesses of the world, right? All these locusts jump up. Insects are going to grow extremely huge. I don't know if you guys knew this, but insects breathe through their skin. So the more oxygen content in the air around the insects, you know, many of them like arthropods and stuff like that, they can't help it. They'll grow bigger and bigger and bigger, like putting a goldfish in a bigger tank, a small goldfish in a big tank. It'll grow bigger. This is where they go to find Manta, who's hiding on this mysterious island full of gigantic creatures. Might as well be like a magical island. And you could see the black rock, right? I mean, it sort of has some color to it so that you can see them for the movie or whatever. But these are those basalt columns, and they move. You see how this one's kind of like at an angle, and you can see it smoothly goes straight up like that, right? I know a lot of people, you know, on the internet, there's talk of the giant trees and stuff like that. And I love that theory. But I also have another theory, especially for these basalt columns, is that electricity pulls them up, that this was liquid form at some point in time. And then they were electrified, which gave them shape, specific shapes through cymatics, right? Which is also the whole opening to the rings of power, you know, the whole cymatics thing, and the angels singing things into existence, etc. But this is your black rock. This is Mount Meru symbolism and magnetic rock as well.
Hey Jay, can I show you something real quick?
Yeah.
Element so that thing you were talking about, which kind of was like the power that was killing everybody, right? It was very similar to nuclear power. This I can't pronounce it. Pronounce it, Jay.
Orichalcum.
Yeah, orichalcum. So orichalcum is 35, matching a nuclear war, which is, if you watch the movie, guys, it is totally a representation of nuclear energy. Very similar anyways. Atomic bomb is 35, inner earth 35. That's Agent Smith's number too.
Wow.
And the god Saturn now, element 35, is called bromine, which bromine purifies water. And it's also connected to radioactive isotopes. So I found that quite fascinating. I'm sure Logan would probably see more connections to the orichalcum. Did you notice anything, Logan?
Oh yeah, ton. Yeah, simulation equals 35.
Oh, is it? That's good. I need to add that to my Rolodex.
Yeah, and it's tied to chlorine.
Nice.
So the 17th element, which is a star card. Just tied
Oh,
to.
wow. So it mentions that here. Hold on. It says the mass of bromine in the ocean is about 1/300th that of chlorine.
Yep.
So what?
Chlorine is tied to the first blood types, the O blood types.
What? Oh,
that
negative?
makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense because I believe that during this plasma apocalypse, as I talk about it with the depressurization of the atmosphere, that there's different gases that are created in an alchemical wedding, if you want to look at it that way. It's the merging, you know, of the different gases and stuff like that that create more different types of chemicals, basically. And chlorine is one of those from sodium chloride. It's just pulled right out of the ocean when you run electricity through it.
Well, I got this theory too, Jay, that what they're doing with nuclear bombs, dude, I think it's connected to opening portals too, brother.
Yeah.
I really do. And I mean, people told me I was crazy for thinking that, but there's so many connections to portals. And how do we know? We don't know what it does when they blow one of these damn things up. They say it's felt through all the other dimensions or all the other worlds throughout the multiverse. So I think there's something there happening. We also see the connection to nuclear with Jinn. If you look into the Jinn, you'll see a connection to nuclear, which is fascinating. And there's got to be something going on there where they're opening these other realities with this type of weapon system, nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and the Jinn being smokeless fire, possibly plasma.
And look, dude, there's a story about the Babylon workings. Okay, so they said they created this baby, right? The moon child. They said it was actually really born.
And it was Marjorie Cameron was part of that theory.
Okay, so you know what I'm about to go down, don't you, Paranoid? And they said they took the moon child and put it in the first nuclear explosion that they blew up over in Japan, and it was like this ancient ritual to bring hellfire. And then
Nice.
so that fetus was in the original freaking nuclear bomb. So that to me is just fascinating. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's a fascinating theory.
And Moonchild, when you do your never-ending story breakdown, you'll probably talk about Moonchild as well, because that was the name of Atreyu had to give to the childlike princess.
Yeah, but it just that's all I really wanted.
And the number 8. So 35 is 8, right?
Yeah.
I'll check this out. Can I go back?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna show you. Let's see, because 8 comes right into play too here. Remember the number 8. Actually, Paranoid, I think, brought it up earlier. A couple of you guys brought it up, the number 8 as well earlier too. So here's a couple more screenshots. What was that?
Yeah, we were talking about the 8 and the H, and like
and
yes.
then Logan brought up the connection to 19 when we were talking about Aquaman, the 8,
right.
The 8 star.
Yeah, and what was that element? Keta. What was it? The K one that you guys brought up earlier?
Potassium, calcium.
Potassium, right? So potassium, 19, right? The 19 fallen angels that are listed in the book of Enoch, chapter 3. And then K is the number 11, or it's the 11th, letter in the English alphabet at the very least, which is Elven. It's an Elven connection, or 11, the 19, the Elven, the El, the Elu, the angel race or whatever, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, that chaos number. Also the number of genetic modification. What do they say about the fallen angels? That they manipulated the genome, right? So, and then you got the story of Inky and Enlil. It all ties into that DNA modification, creating chimeras.
And On, or Anu.
So fascinating how everything's connected, man.
Yeah, and the 8-pointed star also falls in there too, right? For the portal symbolism or whatnot.
Yeah, and it's directly connected to the number 19 with the chaos star. And Logan, what'd you say was the prime numbers?
19 is the 8th. 19 is the 8th prime number.
That's right.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. So that's crazy.
Watch, I'm going to show you how 8.
36 is connected to 8 too, ain't it, Logan? In primes or something. I can't remember how.
No, 23 is the 9th Fibonacci, is the 9th prime number. No, let me see. 36 is 151 is the 36 prime. Or 151 is tied to the 36 through the Europium.
It was Zach talking about 36 connected to 8, so he's probably lying anyway. So
he doesn't. Yeah, 151 is the 36 prime, and 151 is tied to the operating system. This is all operating system now. The 151 tied to the pyramids.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his.
It's so interesting when you guys say prime. I keep thinking of the Transformers, like every time the prime numbers and the primes of the Transformers.
Yeah.
Then this next image is just basically just going to be another like picture of the Mount Meru volcanic plasma volcano symbolism with the green energy. So they show a lot of this green stuff, which a lot of gases can turn green too. Keep that in mind. Which is dangerous. It can be dangerous during the apocalypse depending on what gases they are, obviously. But this is also the green color from the North Pole.
They say there's a green gas too, like with the whole Nibiru theory, that there's some green gas that comes and kills everybody. And if you look into the reptilian catacombs under California, they said they built this underground city out there, and it was in the 1934 newspaper talking about these reptilian catacombs, right? And they said that they were trying to escape this meteor shower. Well, they escaped the meteor shower, but some green gas seeped in and killed them all.
Yeah, the Joker gas too. It's the Joker gas.
It's got to be connected to something real, or why is it keep repeating itself throughout different stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now check this out. So let's just say that this is a type of Rupus nigra, which exists at the center of the world at the North Pole. This is directly beneath the moon, the real moon. I don't want to get too deep into it right now just because that would be time consuming, but there is the projection, which is the light in the sky that we call the moon. And then there is the reality behind it, where the image actually physically comes from, which is always in the same place at the middle of the world, at the apex of the sky. And Rupus nigra is the mountain of the moon. It's the moon mountain, which is the moon child, basically. Here's an example. They just kind of flashed the mountain itself. Mount Meru, I have found.
Kind of reminds me of the yellow brick road and then the green.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. This is a type of Oz or Emerald City.
When I seen the mountain, that's when I called you. Remember, after I watched it, I called you. I was like, dude, you got to watch this shit.
Yeah. This is also the sorry, go ahead.
No, there was a lot of symbolism connected to stuff you talk about.
Yes, this mountain right here, you'll see this when you do the Neverending Story. I know you said you wanted to break down the Neverending Story too. So this is basically the Ivory Tower. Also, it's split just like this right in the middle. Mount Meru has a lot of split mountain symbolism. Rupus nigra, I found a lot of split mountain symbolism to it because this beam of energy shoots up out of it, and then the earth grows and stuff like that too, splitting the mountain. But this is all green. Aurora Borealis symbolism. We have the auroras now that are green now under the conditions we now live in, which is a fallen state, which is, for me, exponential entropy, represented by whoever owns or whoever lives at or whatever energy sits on the throne of God. Let's say that this is a symbolic example of the throne of God. That energy reciprocates throughout the entire rest of the world. So there's this like sort of fight for Mount Meru or Atlantis or Rupus nigra, etc. Now this right here is a type of the mysterious island at the middle of the world that's depicted on so many ancient maps. And it's also the Septentrio, which is basically means 7 towers or 7 trees. You know, that's all symbolic, etc. But that's indicative of the North. Now, I love the intro that you played. We wanted to talk about the symbolism of the Fwipip. What do you call that? The Trident. Yes.
Hey, so but what did you think about anybody that touched that trident? It will possess them.
Yes.
Kind of like plasma possession, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because these, okay, so basically this trident, I'm going to give you the short version first. This trident for me represents these energetic mountains or plasma volcanoes, as I like to call them. Right. And because there is so much terrestrial energy running up through these cavernous systems and it actually energizes the rocks and the metals inside of them, those who touch it, it's able to transfer, especially due to an increase in electricity in the atmosphere itself. And therefore our own auras and chakras become amplified. Those who touch them, the energy rushes through them and they tap into the quote unquote mysteries of the world or the mother goddess or whatever the energy is. It almost overpowers them. You know what I mean? You have to have a very strong will so that you're not completely taken over by it. So if it's negatively, I'm going to say negative as in a bad sense, right? If it's negatively charged, you can become what I call plasma possessed, or you become possessed by a negative entity or energy that flows throughout your body. If it's positively charged, the opposite happens. So that's why you see these people touching this. And then let me just show you the symbolism of this right here. Paranoid made reference to this earlier too. I love studying the different alphabets throughout history and the different alphabets of the world. This one right here comes from the old South Arabian script. This right here is the letter Chet or Hey. It branched off into 2 separate letters. Initially, it was the same. It all depends on your pronunciation. You can get a hard guttural ch sound, which over time people couldn't really do that. So they said ch. So if you see ch or chet or like a character named Chet in a movie or something like that, it's this letter and it represents this letter right here.
Shout out to Weird Science.
Yeah, right. Chet and Weird Science turned into the frog, the giant frog. So here's a better example of it, basically. And you can see it's that trident shape. These shapes are not just random. The letters or glyphs that we use for what we call letters today were pictures. Hands down, for me, they were pictures across the board. They originally, they started changing because people would draw them differently, or they didn't know how to draw them, or there were times whenever we went through electromagnetic shifts, which affected our brain waves and which sides of the brain that we use, and whether or not we're left-handed or right-handed and things like that. Letters became flipped upside down, like the whole pictures started to change. So you can put this
It could
sideways.
be from just the thought process of the right brain, left brain, right? So in some societies, we might get more right brain, and then
Yes.
other societies more left brain.
Yes. There's clear points throughout time whenever our writing shifted or, seemed to shift from writing left-handed from right to left, so you don't smudge your own marker, to right-handed, writing from left to right. And that's indicative of the side of the brain that we're predominantly using.
I think that was the Illuminati agenda, because I think when you read from the opposite direction, I think pineal activity increases. So to have everyone start to read from left to right kind of change the electromagnetic auric field and how we disseminate information, and that dumbed everything down.
Wow. That's
I agree with that.
Nice.
Because like when I was in school, they forced me to write with my right hand, even though I'm left-handed. So like, why would so
why?
Because it's connected to the left brain, right brain. So they wanted
I can write with both hands, and they didn't force me to do that.
They did for me, at least. And so it's always been my philosophy that they wanted me more in my left brain.
This would be like the Neptunian equivalent. You guys mentioned that earlier, how Neptune is represented by the bident instead of the trident right here. This is the exact same letter. It's just pronounced differently. That's all. And I believe that this represents different beams that erupt from different parts of the world.
I don't know if Neptune's the bident, bro. I think Neptune's the trident, right?
Well, it's the same thing. The bident and the trident was just an evolution, and even the bident evolved itself from the axe, like the minotaur, and like going into that maze of the minotaur. That the axe, if you look at it, it's basically the same concept as a bident. If you were to just take the metal and twist it upwards a little bit.
Wow, fascinating.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
All right, so check this out. Remember this psi shape. This trident shape, right? Here's another one. This is the H, the same type of letter, but this is an Egyptian glyph, right? This they would say that this is like a wick, right? Because it's like a twisted wick, but what it really represents is light, right? Because the wick represents light, basically. How do you draw light, right? So you draw a wick. So it's twisted as it goes up, spiraling, following Birkeland currents, electricity,
like DNA.
It's DNA. This is exactly what DNA probably is, light form. And then here's one of my favorite alphabets to study is the Paleo Hebrew or the Phoenician. This is that same letter. This is the trident letter, but this was a later adaptation of it, right? So this is where we get the number 8 from. It's the 8th letter. This, you can see the 8 in there, right?
Wow.
It represents I'll show you right here. It represents walls, fences, boundaries, perimeters, and specifically it implies walls and boundaries and markers that are outside markers, outside boundaries, outside things that divide one side from another, outside fences, right? So originally this was actually sideways. It didn't look like a ladder at first. It actually was sideways. It looked like more like a fence. And
that
to me,
reminds me of the whole portal connection with 8 too, with the boundaries.
Yes. And you'll see this glyph too. I don't know if you guys ever see like the 21 Pilots, but the 21 Pilots have this really weird, enigmatic, their whole album, all their last 3 albums at least are super esoteric, and they show you so much of this stuff. They have what they call Nico and the Niners. It was this one of their songs they have where they have this sort of government entity that they created or made up called DEMA, and DEMA are these ones that worship these neon lights, and they show you this in their music video. And these Dima world controllers hold up this neon figure 8 that looks exactly like this in this video. I didn't take a picture of it, but here's some other forms that the Het or the 8 or the Trident took. Right? Originally, it could be He or it could be Het. Okay, it all depends on your pronunciation of it, but it looks like a spirit or a ghost, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Looks like Tanet, Paranoid American.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Tanet kind of represents that Wicker Man looking symbol.
Well, and Tanet's the consort of Ball Hammond, and Ball Hammond is essentially the Green Man. And you were talking about another version of the Green Man, when we started this out. So in my mind, it all really does connect. Maybe it's in like a number 23 shout out Jim Carrey way, but it all freaking connects. Like, this is the Ankh. The Ankh itself is somewhat of a bident, especially if you look at the concept of the battle axe, and then the Ankh with the part in the middle that loops around, which is probably like electromagnetic property. But that altogether also becomes not just a trident, but again, the symbol of Tanet.
That's right.
You even have, go back to the Hebrew one, the slide before.
Hey guys, you want to know what I
Hebrew?
learned today about birthdays?
That one right there.
Birthday coming up. There was this video going viral that said the happy birthday song is an ancient chant or some type of spell that the fallen angels put on us to grow old. You guys ever hear anything about that?
No.
I mean, it's kind of weird. We light candles, we turn out the lights, glow in the dark. Everybody stands around you chanting this happy birthday song.
Yeah, really depressing sounding.
Yeah. They said we lived way longer and that's some type of a spell. I mean, it was definitely fascinating.
Yeah, well, they would. Okay, so this goes back to, various religions and ancient belief systems, not just pagan or witchcraft or whatever. But that's why they would light fire and make wishes to the fire, because the fire represented its plasma, basically. And it represented like the jinn and stuff like that. And they would make wishes because they could speak to the fire, and the fire would carry their prayer, their wishes, etc., up to the gods and to the heavens. Not so much the smoke, but it was actually the fire itself, or the
Burning
plasma
bush.
itself. Burning bush symbolism.
That
Talking to God.
That early Hebrew symbol on the far left, that looks a lot like a roll of film.
You're right.
Oh, it does, dude.
Yeah, and that means house, right? So it's a wall. So you're actually that's a builder. That's film. That's
wow. And back then, they wouldn't even have known about film, or would they?
No, but of course it's all connected because it's predestined. But yeah,
yeah,
that's how I see it. I don't know if what you guys see, but
well, Hebrew is called the language of light and the language of fire. So a lot of our existence, the holographic reality that they're shaping their world or this world into, has a lot to do with the Hebraic alphabet and probably the shapes of it, because light has the bend, and that's how form happens. So it's interesting you brought that up. So I think whoever invented the film, whoever was gets the credit for that, probably was looking at Hebraic letters.
Well, I was always, it's funny you pointed that out, because if you share my screen, I want to see if I can make this picture bigger. But we were talking, it kind of goes into what I've always looked at, because I'm Jewish, so I always look at Jewish stuff growing up, and every time I've seen this picture, I always think that looks like a video camera.
It totally does.
Wow.
And then going back to Polaris, I have like a theory that the menorah, which is 8, this one is 7, but
maybe you knew about the camera back then, Doe-Nut.
Yeah, that's what I just every time I look at it, I always thought it looked like a video camera. But Polaris, the 8-pointed star, is also the menorah, or the 8 reindeer, and I feel like there could be a Polaris connection to that as well.
I think so. That Squadron Man picture that we looked at earlier, the Stickman image of what I believe is a terrestrial plasma discharge, it was drawn as a menorah oftentimes, or a stick figure that had a menorah for like a head. I don't know if, well, it's probably, if we looked enough, we would find that they drew it as a menorah as it branched out, because it was the burning bush. It was the tree of life. It was a tree that was a tree of light, just like they show in the Lord of the Rings, how they had their two their silver tree and their gold trees that gave light to the world. They were pillars.
I even heard that there's a story of Christopher Columbus seeing a menorah UFO.
For real?
Yeah, I've read that.
I could see that, especially if it's ionized gases or whatnot branching out. Have you guys seen images of sprites, the phenomenon, electromagnetic phenomenon, sprites? That's the form they take.
They look like jellyfish.
Yeah, there's different kinds. They can take on different shapes or whatever, dependent upon the electromagnetic currents in the air and how much gases they're dealing with or whatever. But the sprites are basically a type of it's interesting, they're called sprites, right? But they're a type of covering angels or cherubim.
The coolest video I've seen on this was Logan, when you were with Ken Wheeler and you were doing the magnetic stuff with the television. That was what introduced me to the symbol.
It's tied to that's tied to the Titans, the fallen angel story. Because if you go look at the element titanium on the periodic table, you're going to see that symbol.
And when Leave the World Behind came out, which is produced by Barack Obama's film company, you'll know that the sprite, they just gave some of the first pictures of a close-up image of what a sprite would look like. It looks like they look like entities. But it's interesting that Barack's film company comes out with this movie, and the word Barack itself means lightning. And it's talking about how the fallen angel, comes, lightning drops, and looked like a light bulb went off.
And then on Obama's birthday, people were electrocuted at the White House by a lightning strike too. And I thought that was
and his Hebrew for light. His name is Hebrew for lightning. And
you know what this all proves, guys?
Too funny, man.
That we live in a simulation. That's why it's all connected like that.
I want to say too, these little dudes that we're looking at, these little sprites. I don't know if anyone knows, but in game design, since going back to the 70s, whatever, that's what you call the little dudes on the screen. That's what a character is. When you're playing Mortal Kombat or Mario is a sprite. That is the technical term for what he is.
Right.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah, I covered that like a year ago. That there's particular people that are really in the simulation, like their souls, they're either participating with the simulation, but esoterically is the sprite is the person that's outside of the simulation. They're just experiencing. Then everybody else are NPCs. They're attached to the simulation.
Right. And there's a lot of these NPCs, dude. I think there's more NPCs than there are first player characters by far.
The NPCs are the ones that you can hit with your car and take their money and then go to the strip club, right?
Right. Yeah. That's
as long as you leave an apology.
Shout out to GTA.
Hit them with a car.
GTA, yeah.
Better be careful. They're making them a bit more, aggressive. Like, watch out, those NPCs.
Metaverse is coming too. Don't forget that.
Oh, that's right.
I will never make a digital version of myself because I truthfully believe you're feeding that phantom timeline. They're creating a matrix within a matrix, and that's the last thing you want to do is feed that timeline. So,
devil's advocate, though, don't you want to create your digital counterpart before they do, so that you train yours up the way you want it to? Because at some point they're gonna make. They're like the Mormons, right? That like baptize them after you die. Like they're just gonna make the digital you, whether you want it there or not.
No, I think there's something there, paranoid, where you have to give your permission, like anything else in this reality. I don't think they can do that. So
I don't know, man. I think when you bought your phone or your computer, there was like that fine print. It probably
Right.
said in
Right.
there like
That's
enter now to
definitely
see
probably
your
true.
phone.
Right. I think we already sold it. Matter of fact, the Netflix Black Mirror, the new series, was talking about that. We already sold our image
Oh yeah.
to these
What
people.
was that? Everybody hates Jane or whatever.
Everybody hates
Talking about that
Jane.
one?
Jane, it comes
no,
from
Joan is awful.
Joan is awful.
Joan,
That's
Joan is
right,
awful. Yeah. Joan is awful. And there was something that
Everybody
Tommy
hates
was saying.
yeah.
I know like all the pieces that went into that, right? Because like
Hey.
everyone hates Chris and like
Hey, but check this out. Think of all the movies, right? Especially you guys have probably seen the one with Jet Li, right?
Yeah, the one.
Okay, think about the concept of the multiverse that they keep on showing to us, where there's another version of you out there out there somewhere, and if it's all a simulation, that's a copy of you. So what do the people normally do in these situations? They go kill that copy of themselves. They go off and they either they team up and they try to get together, like in Loki, as you know, is portrayed in the new Loki series. Either the rebellious ones, they try to put all those versions of them together so that they can be more powerful and disrupt reality or whatnot, or they try to erase them and take them out.
I would team up with the other Tommies. I would team up with them, like, yo, let's you know what I'm saying?
Do you think all the Tommies would trust all the other Tommies?
No,
would y'all
we
trust
would
each
not
other?
trust
There was an episode of
we'd be trying to poison each other. It'd be bad. So I'd have to watch that.
That's what the new Chucky's about on the television show.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's, I mean, the new Chucky television show, I thought was, I'm a huge Chucky fan, Child's Play fan, but that's what happens is Jennifer Tilly clones the Chucky. So there's a bunch of different ones and they all want to rise the power. So they're all like screwing each other over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That harkens back to the ancient Brahmin creation story where Brahma, the original god or whatnot, was all there was. So in order to create, he had to split himself, which he can't do. So he just casts a spell on himself to deceive himself, which is Maya, or, you know, deception or illusion, basically, that there is more than one when there isn't more than one. So the more we make of one, the more we contribute to deception or illusion or Maya, basically. So there's two paths. There's continuing the illusion of separation, and then there's the return to the source or unity. True unity.
That has a lot to do with the building. I think the third temple is the AI digital universe. I think it is a new aeonic, from a Gnostic sense. It's a new aeonic reality that they want us in, and it's going to contribute to the Maya, the illusion, that they're going to give people a choice. You can be whoever you want to be. If you go into this metaverse, you could be any race you want. You could be any sex you want. You do whatever you want to do. Commit as many crimes you want to. Because they just reported the other day a woman was, I can't say the word on his platform.
Yeah, please
I'm
don't.
not. I'm self-conscious of it, bro. But they they reported that.
I'll say it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, please don't.
Stop.
So this is the new thing in the third temple is gonna be.
Well, Ani, without getting in trouble, but the whole third strand DNA, the black goo, that's what that's all tied into. They're creating a quantum copy, a digital copy of our soul.
Yeah.
You know, and then we can where we'll like maybe when we die here in the physical, we'll wake up in their reality where they're ruling over it.
I mean, you can transfer your consciousness to that place. There, you go back to the Matrix. Speaking of the one, Jay, the Neo is a acronym for the one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And going back to the tunnels, because I'm just on the tunnels for this month, or at least the next couple of months. They were on the ship in the Matrix. You know, when you plug up to the Matrix, you're on a ship and you're down underground in these tunnels, and these anti-gravitic propulsion ships are driving around these tunnels while the machines rule from above, and the machines blacken out the sky to cut the humans off from the source of energy of radiation from the sun. So that makes me think that that's in the plan. But the point Tommy's making, they plug you up to the machine. They're going to give people a choice, red pill, blue pill. You can just upload and transfer your consciousness, and they put you in these little artificial wombs where they plug your body up, and you can just live out your whole life over there, and the machine will catch your defecation and all of it, and it'll feed you too while you're in this digital universe, but you're not in the physical form.
That sounds
I was going to real quick, Paranoid 15 to get 15% off one of your death pods, by the way, if you want one of those things that Ani was talking about.
And that's what Chucky, that's what he does. He transfers his consciousness into the doll.
Right.
Yeah, it's a voodoo doll. That's what he is.
Damballa. Shout out to Damballa again.
And speaking of Epstein in the tunnels, let me show you a little something Paranoid America made real quick. Check this out, y'all.
This is Epstein's Quest, fly by lowly town express. Call him Jeffrey or just Jeff. This is Epstein's Quest. Fly the lowly town express. Call him Jeffrey or just Jeff. This is Epstein's Quest.
That's right. In Epstein's Quest, you get to travel the world, see the sights, and take part in unspeakable pleasures. Blackmail your friends for fun and profit, featuring all your favorite characters of the dark underworld and beyond. Bill and Hillary, Trump and Melania, with guest appearances by Chris Tucker, Bill Gates, and more. To find out, just search for Epstein's Island online and play the all-new game, Epstein's Quest, from developer Paranoid American. For more details, visit paranoidamerican.com.
Yo, that's the craziest
awesome.
thing.
The
I
doll,
didn't know who that was until you guys talked about it last time, because I don't watch the news or anything. Everyone talks about it. I had no idea who this dude was. Okay, I had no idea what he looked like. So when you first played that, it just, whatever. It was like some guy. But then I researched, right, and I'm a little bit more caught up on the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, that's the dude.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to make that?
Ain't that funny though?
Maybe afternoon. I'd say like 3 or 4 hours.
It's really good.
I really
look,
like
What'd you use to make it?
A combination of Stable Diffusion, Suno.ai for the music, Adobe After Effects, and Premiere to tie it all together.
Cool.
And look, when we first shared it, so he shared it on his page, and then I shared it to my Instagram, and it went viral, like crazy viral on my page. And you should have seen all the dummies in the comments that thought it was a real game.
Well, it might be. You know what? So many people got so mad about it that know what? Now I think it might be a real game. So
we're turning it
Challenge
into
accepted.
now.
Wow.
I'm gonna do a real game. If I get enough people on Patreon to fund it, I'll do a real Epstein's Quest game. Just like me and Jay were talking about doing a Plasma Apocalypse Oregon Trail game.
Yeah, we're gonna totally do an Oregon Trail Plasma Apocalypse.
Paranoid's new dolphin rap is the dopest track.
But the
out there.
Epstein game, you have a guy that goes in, he saves the kids, takes out the politicians. You got to have the hero character.
Well, I was thinking of having it like be twofold. So you start out, and what you're doing is you're like investigating. You're trying to find you find out they knocked down the temple, and there's a fake temple up there, and you're doing your best to like uncover everything. But then it'll like switch over to like
I
your
gotta be in the game.
Like you're Epstein in the game in the 70s.
Unlockable character.
And then Tommy Truthful comes in. I'm like Liu Kang in it. You know what I'm saying?
You should just have like Blade or somebody in it, just like cutting everybody down with like
Slaughterhouse. Remember that Slaughterhouse video game?
You put some real characters in there, some Truth Mafia characters. That'd be funner.
Oh, that would be fire.
Yeah, that would be fire. Why not? Well, why get other people promotion? We need to build our own.
Fun.
Yeah, I have some slides real quick I could go through. Not many, just like a couple.
Okay, before Doe-Nut gets into his slides, guys, make sure you check the links down in the description. Check out my brother Logan. He's got his cosmicsugar.org, all his links to his YouTube channel, his Patreon, Donuts, Anis, Paranoid Jays, all their links are down below in the description. And if you want to get a personal decode, and I just did a dream interpretation last night. That's my favorite thing to do. You can get that done too. A custom picture based on your dream. If the person's in the comments right now that I did the dream interpretation on, I would love to share your dream because it was very fascinating. Let me know if I can. Just email me back. And then if you want a personal reading, that link is down below as well. So check that out. You can find out if you are one of these NPCs or these first player characters. And, you know, I find it so fascinating that the NPCs are connected to Saturn and the first player characters are connected to Zeus, Jupiter, Jesus, that whole connection. When also there's certain areas that I found out that have a higher demographic of NPCs, like Portland, Oregon. Everybody I decode from Portland, Oregon, I swear to God, they're all NPCs. And guess what Portland, Oregon equals, dude? 63, like NPC, non-player character. And then Washington, or it's actually District of Columbia, is 64. And look, where is everybody that runs America? In the District of Columbia. So it's kind of fascinating. I've been finding all kinds of weird connections, but them links are down below, guys, in the description. Get your personal decode today.
That's too bad because I man, the coolest people I ever met are from like Portland or Oregon and Washington area.
Well, I'm not saying
they're so laid back up there. And I got more slides too. Once we're all done and stuff, I'll come back to some of the other pictures if you want.
Okay. What did you want to show, Doe-Nut?
Well, you know, these are just a couple of slides I was looking at the movie and I was looking at the, you know, weaponry that they were carrying. And I was trying to see, oh man, is it connected to any of like the assassin order? Because I've been doing a big deep dive on secret societies for a while now. And I looked up, you know, the assassin's blade to find
How was your secret societal meeting? Sorry, I couldn't make it.
It's okay. It was very secretive. It was good. It was good.
You can't tell me about it.
It was a secret. It's a secret meeting.
I didn't even know about it.
No other adjectives to describe it.
But yeah, no, it went very, very well. And shout out to it was good. It was
shout out to Pukey Pete. Was he there?
Pukey Pete was there, and he actually led off the secret meeting in his robe, and it was.
Oh
amazing.
my God,
Yeah.
I love Pukey Pete.
Yeah, it was amazing. But so I was just looking at, because something I've been looking into is the assassin order. And I was like, oh, I mean, it kind of looks like an assassin blade. And when I looked it up, there was a book, Assassin Blade, and right there is the deer, you know, the buck. The buck stops here. This is a huge symbol with Leave the World Behind. And I know
real quick, it's in Leave the World Behind. It's in Rebel Moon. It's in Ani. What's that new one I told you to watch? The
Saltburn.
Saltburn. It's in Saltburn, which I told Paranoid American and Jay to watch it too.
I've seen it.
Ain't it crazy, Paranoid?
And this is just something that happens when we're decoding. I'm sure everybody here can relate that. You just start looking at stuff. You see it's all connected in this web of stuff. But she gave a dolphin type ocean birth to the baby.
That's actually a picture of Amber Heard pooping on a bed. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's Amber Heard, who, you know, was psychologically dead while she was banging Elon, and those were the reports in the news. But I've been looking into the Illuminati dolphins and, you know, how connected this goes into the ocean, into ancient agricultural gods and all that, especially with the UFO agenda. But the way the baby communicates to the goldfish is the same way the dolphins communicate as well. So it's a dolphin type birth baby. And when I'm just looking at it, the first 15 minutes, all I watched was the 15 minutes.
And the baby was the key to everything. That's what they were going to sacrifice, the baby, remember?
Oh yeah, the Vril baby. Yeah, it looked like Lum, but I don't know, but I
They
bet
were
you
going to sacrifice. That's terrible. They had to have that element in there. Thank God the
it looked
baby
like
didn't get
the Paris Hilton baby a little bit.
Oh my
But
Lord.
but the like a little Illuminati meeting with there's 11, but he's included in it though, so it's
13.
12 or
Or with the
13.
other,
Yeah.
or there's only one more. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it just reminded me of Illuminati meeting, but this is what I was talking about in the beginning. How this movie is sponsored by alcohol company Guinness. This is
told you he's an
product.
alcoholic.
This is a product placement. Guinness paid a lot of money to have
yeah.
this in there, and the families to alcohol brands. You could see the connection to Bud Light with the CIA and all that. It's all there, and I'm sure there's a weird baby milk connection that I don't know
Milk
about.
for sure.
Milk and the beer and the wheat, but this was on the fridge, and I just screenshotted it. You got 6 stars. There's what is the 6-star symbolism? I don't know, but I just looked up what it could be, and Subaru popped up, and Subaru is for Taurus, constellation Pleiades. So I'm sure there's a connection there that you guys can connect that I don't really know, but I thought that was interesting having the 6-star on the fridge.
Anybody know anything about the 6 stars? Ani?
I mean, it could be. It doesn't have to be 6 stars. That's just probably what they put there. It could be the 6-sided star.
It could be the 6-sided star. Yeah, right.
It could be that too. I mean, it's
a hexagon.
Semiotics is the language of symbols. But
what are we actually looking at though? Like, what is that thing that's black and has the little like white stars on it?
What is it?
It's a magnet on the fridge.
Yeah, but like what? Like what is it supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Like it looks like a messed up domino or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, like a domino.
Yeah.
And the only reason I ask is because it almost looks like there's a grid, right? It almost looks like it goes there's like a 4x3 grid in here, so that could almost be coordinates of something. Where the first one's at 1-1, and the last one's at 1-4, and so on.
interesting. See, semiotics.
Yeah.
And guys, we apologize for the images, but we had the bootleg copy of the movie because it's still in movie theaters. So
this is a bootleg copy. Yeah. But the baby communicating with the dolphin with the sonar with the 5 fish, and he might be like the 6th fish. So I don't know if there's a connection there. This is just stuff that I looked up. Aqua comes from the Hittites, I guess. The word going back where the double-headed eagle also comes from. With the Hittites,
the Hittite Empire.
Yeah, I already kind of talked about the global temperatures and how they put this propaganda in all the different movies. And that's
you
it.
See that time on the screen too, Doe-Nut? It was 11:24.
Yeah. Yeah, so the time on the screen is how long the movie is as well, 1 hour and 24 minutes. But if you share, how you can make my video screen right here bigger?
Yeah.
I have a lot of the Trident imagery I can just go through really quickly since it's on the topic.
Okay. So the layout.
And then I could show off my new Illuminatus trilogy books of the Leviathan, which kind of goes into the octopus and the submarines in the ocean. In each one of his books, it's the same book, but there's different covers, but they're all connected. So like this is the one version of this book. It's a peaceful yellow submarine. And then the next one is the octopus, and then the last one it's eating it. So I don't know. We're talking about under the ocean, and I wanted to flex a little bit, but but you got the world WTC. It's built with like the Trident. Confucius, says signs and symbols rules the world, and looking at the Ukrainian, the USB port. I think the USB port is going to play a huge role in this upcoming year with the cyber incidences happening.
Doe-Nut, look at this. I had Confucius right down here too.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure Did you know about Confucius before me though?
Well, yeah, because he said, "Man who stand on toilet is high on pot."
Oh, I never knew that one.
Yes.
Or
So,
he who fart in elevator laugh longest.
he who fart in elevator. So, I've been covering, like, just documenting a lot of the symbols. May 1st, the Illuminati Day, Operation Neptune Spear is when Osama bin Laden. That's when they celebrate the fake capturing of him and
Yeah.
throwing him into the ocean, which I'm sure there's something there. The whole devil with the pitchfork, all the fireworks having a symbiotic relationship with the devil, I always find interesting, but just more symbolism of that. Where JFK was taken out was on Elm Street on a giant trident as well. And I'm sure a lot of people already know all this stuff, but I think it's all connects. And we're in the year of the rabbit right now. We're in 2023 right
No,
now.
we're in the year. Well, we're about to be in the year of the dragon.
Yes. So 2024 will be the Omega. And we've been in this in 2023, the year of the rabbit, connected to the whole UFO thing. And going into 2024 is the Omega. And shout out to Jordan Waters Above. He really helped me with this research a few years ago. And shout out to Shelly as well. She did a super chat. But the Malaysian Airlines, as well as the Osama bin Laden Day, May 1st is when they founded, the same year as the Illuminati, and they got the missing flights with the double trident that you're bringing up. But I think what's very important this year is the USB port connected to spiders. Spider-Man. Kristen Dunst, does the Spider-Man kiss in the new Civil War movie with A24. This A24 is 124. And this movie ran for 124. I think there's a connection there because it goes into the World Wide Web. So spiders, webs, and we're surfing the internet. The internet is streaming video, just like maritime law with banking. It goes into the internet, and the USB port is the Trident with the Squid Games PlayStation symbols on there as well. So I think there will be a ritual for the Omega event to lead into the digital currency, as the 23rd letter is Psi, which is the Trident. And here's Biden, Pluto. He was born and he's known for the Pluto return, the 2222. So the whole Biden thing is we kind of talked about it. But with this 33rd Summer Olympics that is happening in Paris for 2024, 24 is X. But the logo to it, and this is what I got from Waters Above, so shout out to Jordan, is the Paris logo was the 24 of Jupiter, and they changed it. And I think this looks a lot like the Omega, and the Omega is the 24 as well. So I think there's a connection there. We've been covering this for a while.
Oh, they're attacking my stream. Look at this. Now it went down on both Facebooks, the stream. Shelly, thank you for that $200 donation, honey.
Yeah, Amber Heard.
Wow.
Amber Heard's in this movie, and she was dating Elon. They were having their sexual intercourse while her soul was dead. This was what was in the news, and he is X. X is the 24th letter. We got the American eclipse doing the X over America, and this is all connected to Jupiter as well. And I think the rest of these slides, Echo the Dolphin, I thought the E looked like a trident.
Wow, they erased it on my Facebook, Donut.
Yeah, it wasn't because of what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm crazy.
No, but it's just it went down. They're on some bullshit right now.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. But something that Ani brought up to me yesterday, I thought was very important, with Saturn going into a certain thing that it's connected to somebody getting taken out. Now, the Black Hand, the secret society that took out Franz Ferdinand, which kicked off World War One. The same birthday, June 28th, is Elon's birthday. So I think Elon is also someone to look out for on as well, on top of everything.
Yes,
And
the
that's
Saturn Jupiter conjunction.
the Saturn. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because there could be a connection to.
And we're gonna wrap
Elon.
this up before it gets taken down on my YouTube too.
Yeah, every election that there was a Saturn Jupiter election year, when there was a conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, there was an assassination attempt on every president that was in Saturn and Jupiter. So if you go through history, you'll figure out JFK was murdered during a Saturn Jupiter conjunction. There's another president, I can't remember who it was, but it was assassination attempt on his life. So we have a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction with the elections between Trump and Biden, and now we are about to have the fruition of that bearing. So look for something to happen to someone. I won't put it up on here since they're taking Tommy's videos down.
Yeah, they're systematically taking them down. So something's weird's going on right now. It's still on one of my Facebooks, but two of them went down, and it's just like the whole video's gone, just gone. I don't have no strike or nothing like that. I mean, that's just bizarre to me how that happens. You know, I definitely didn't erase the video, so why is it gone? But it's cool. I'll download it and upload it to the Facebook. That just really irritates me, though, bro. Real bad.
Well, as long as you don't have a strike, bro, it'll be okay. They'll be able to get it. I'm pretty sure who was watching the live, if you post it back for them, they'll appreciate it.
You
Yeah,
got a pretty big idiot to get a strike.
You post it again, it could get more views too. And I'm
it
on
already had so many shares.
I'm on the main screen.
Had so many shares already. That's probably why they took it. Well, anyways, all right. So, yeah, that's about what we'll. Hey, Logan, what do you got for me for my birthday, bro? As far as my numbers and my reading, I want to hear some good things. Got anything? Anything for me?
Cheer him up.
I gotta look up your charts and all that. Like, I can't. I mean, the basic fundamentals is that you have that 10 of diamonds card, which is, you know, that card actually is not only connected to Michael Jackson, Prince, Jim Carrey, but it's also tied to the creator of The Simpsons.
Oh,
Matthew Groening, born on February 15th, has the 10 of diamonds card as well. So
I can't believe Shelly donated $200. Thank you, Shelly. But so Jim Carrey, The Simpsons. Who
Matthew
else?
Groening has it. Michael Jackson, Prince, Michael Pence, the former vice president. So some Tom Brady, 10 of diamonds.
The Fortunes and Blessings card. That's my card.
Yeah, and it's converted into the 74th card in the tarot, which is, you know, 74 is tied to illumination. So it's a very, very, very big deal card. It's one of Jupiter's main cards as well. So it's tied right to Jupiter, which, you know, Jupiter is known in astrology to be tied to fortunes, stuff like that. So yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yep.
They say the year I was born in 1983, which is the year of the pig. And they say the pig, the goat, the monkey, and the rat are supposed to have good years in the year of the dragon this year.
Well, I mean, as a collective, we don't, you know, like it's a wood dragon too. So if we do have like fire and shit like that, it's a wood dragon. So I mean, you're talking fire and wood, and what does that create? You know,
sounds like it reminded me of a DMX song I used to rock out to.
Oh
yeah, the snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. Yeah, dude.
How you gonna see him if you live in the fall?
That's Damien, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is Damien, yeah.
The snake, the rat.
But I got a few slides to show you on the Poseidon if you want.
Yes, sir. I do.
I got like maybe 6 or 7, not too many.
Yeah, that DMX song though, everybody got it. That's a great song.
All right, let me,
You just
called
gotta add it.
Damien,
let me
and
just share my screen. Hold on.
there's like 3
Yeah.
different
Oh, man, it's not going to let me
versions.
do it. I'm going to have to, hold on. Let me see if it lets me do it.
Dark man.
You just go to present.
Hold on. Yeah. I'm gonna have to come back in. I'll be right back, guys, because it's not.
That's
I have
okay.
to quit. I have to quit this. Quit this. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is it the computer screen's not showing up when you share it, like the image?
Yeah,
of it?
yeah. It's not. I don't
Yeah.
have it saved in my settings, so it's gonna make me quit the browser I'm on. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
That happens to
Go
me
ahead.
all the time. I got always.
Yeah, dude, this
but
is
that
the
DMX
weirdest.
song though, Damien. We should talk about that.
This is the
great-
weirdest thing
Yeah,
going on. Right?
you need to come on to Sound Science, and we'll talk about some rap albums.
I wish
right?
Yeah.
I wish I made it to Paranoid and Ani's breakdown.
Yeah, everyone here's invited for the next one because I got a big book of CDs to go through still.
Yeah, I like that you brought up nonfiction. I saw nonfiction in a tent in Vegas with there must have been 10, 15 people.
It might be a tabernacle, bro, because it could have been like a ritual going on in there.
No, it wasn't. It was at a skate park, and they didn't get perform on the major stage because it was so underground. You know what I mean? So there was little tents all over for underground.
Did you ever hear of Liquid?
Here's Logan's. Let's
Liquid?
see what Logan
Yeah.
guys.
Liquid.
Is that I know Liquid Swords, but that's it.
That used to be my rap
All
name.
right.
Oh,
Logan,
really?
what do you got for
Yeah.
us?
All right, guys. I'll keep it brief, man. So Neptune, obviously, tied to Pisces and the 2 fish, and when you look at Neptune right now, this is the current chart of right now. We have Neptune being in its own sign of Pisces right here. So it's at 1 degrees, and I'm using sidereal now. I want to make this clear to everybody that are fans of astrology. Sidereal is the only astrological map that is the true placement of the planets. Okay, if you're using tropical, it has its merit, it has its say and everything, but it does not have the exact placement of the planets, which is why people say Pluto just is in Aquarius. It is not in Aquarius. Pluto is in Capricorn, and it will be in Capricorn until 2039. Okay, so if you got to know the difference, and I'm not going to get into the definitions of tropical, and I'm not here to try to prove anybody wrong, but if you go to Stellarium, which is the true map of the stars, this is Neptune right here. Neptune just came into Pisces. Okay, so Saturn's in Aquarius right now. So that is the true map of the stars right now. I just want to make that clear because this is important. Why Pluto is in Capricorn, because leave the world behind. See, Pluto, this is the 21st in the Shaktra, and this is tied to the world. So Pluto's coming into Capricorn, which is Earth, to destroy the deadwood, to remove the deadwood, and it's in Capricorn's sign. So we have to look to where Saturn is, and Saturn is in Aquarius right now. And so this is what it's all about, is Capricorn, Aquarius right now, and Neptune getting in its own sign right now with the wound of Chiron and Rahu here. This is going to be a monumental change in the way our DNA is being charged up right now, because Poseidon is home. He's finally home, and there's a lot to say in Neptune running this reality. The last sign, Pisces, the 2 fish representing the 2 feet, and everybody has Piscean energy. You don't have to be born in the month of March or April to be a Pisces. Everybody has all 12 signs. If I pull up anybody's astrological chart, you will be all 12. It's just that we have certain celestials that are in these zodiac signs. So keep that in mind, is that you're all 12 signs, which makes you part Neptunian / Piscean. Okay. But I'm going to get into
question, Logan, is the Atmakarka in Vedic astrology, your soul planet, tied to the position that is connected to life events or something like that?
No, the Atman Karkarka is going to be the planetary ruler, and that's decided upon which planet is at the highest degree. So in this chart right here, this is actually the first observation of Neptune in 1846, when it was first observed on the 23rd of September, it was Jupiter actually that was the chart ruler here. And Jupiter was pretty much in conjunct with Neptune right here in the sign of Virgo. He was in Leo, but this is the Atman Karkarka for the discovery of, or the first observation of Neptune. But if you're talking about, the chart ruler, Atman Karkarka, for anybody here, it's going to be whichever planet is at the highest degree. Now, in Vedic, they only go to Saturn because that is the last planet you can see with the naked eye. But as an observer of astrology, as a fan of astrology, I go all the way to Pluto, personally. I do. So it depends on who's got the highest degree. Does that answer your question for you?
Yeah, it does. Thank you, bro.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, guys, you know what they took the post down for? They said for nudity in adult sex. What did we share on that the whole time?
Oh, those stick figures of Tanit, bro. She might not have been dressed in those little stick figures. You know what I'm talking about? Or the sprites. The sprites might have been nude.
Oh God, dude.
Weird stuff.
AI is using its imagination. So.
It is.
Yeah.
Come
Damn,
on.
those sprites are thick, bro. We're gonna have to censor this.
Yeah, right. All right. So I just want to do the numerology real quick on Neptune, the Romanized spelling, which you could even get into the Latin. I didn't even look at the case sensitive, the all capital. Maybe Tommy, you can look that up, what the all capital letters of Neptune is in the Francis Bacon. But the 38 is big because this is the binary system. 1 and 0 is 38. So now we're talking about maybe being inside this computer system here with the 38. And what's really fascinating about it, besides it reducing down to the number 2, which is duality, is that you see the 8 is going to be into the number 3. The number 3 is a broken 8, right? So the 8, of course, represents the Taurus field, and the 3 is going to represent the sun, because that's the patterns that the sun makes. There's the letter M and the W and all that kind of stuff. So really interesting. But that 38 is tied to the 0 and the 1. 0 and 1 in Chaldean equal 38. The card of illumination through the tarot, to give us the picture, is the 2 of Cups. And this 2 of Cups, which is the second card in the cards of illumination, is tied to the contract. This card represents contracts. The 2 of Cups is the DNA card. So this represents the contract with God, so to speak. And it has its placement in, of course, in the sun. And again, the sun is hydrogen and helium, and its hydrogen comes from the word hydrogenes, which is water, and the gene splicing and all that kind of stuff. So there's this merit here with this contract with God. And this card in the cards of illumination is tied to the Ace of Wands, which is the Ace of Clubs. There's a 23rd card in the deck, and we know how big that 23 is. And this is the magic wand, the Harry Potter wand, which is abracadabra. So I try to have this drawn up with, the Piscean, the waters of the sea here. And these 2 cards, using the card system, if I show all of you the cards of illumination, the Ace of Clubs here, which is the Ace of Wands, is going to be paired up with the 2 of Hearts, which is the 2 of Cups. And these 2 cards, they are only in sequence with each other. When these cards move around every year, these 2 cards just exchange places. And what's worth noting here is the current Pope of the Vatican. This is his birth card right now. Okay, so this is a pretty big deal that these 2 cards are the cards of the current Pope of the Vatican. And we know that the Vatican wears the fish hats, and they're representing the Piscean age, right?
Dagon.
The Dagon. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Dagon.
We know that this card, being the 23rd card in the deck, is tied to Pisces in our numerology, right? And this is a pretty big word and number outcome, because that is going to be tied to crown and blood, right? So is Pisces, is Neptune the crown? Well, it's the 12th sign. Pisces is the 12th sign, Neptune being tied to that. And, is this the stick of the devil? Is the trident the stick of the pitchfork? of the devil, right? And alchemy, of course, there's the 93 million miles to the sun, and 93 and 237 is going to give you 330. So this is a pretty big marker here as well. This is going to be not naturally found in nature either. Like uranium is supposed to be the last one, but this can be found when plutonium is ignited, so to speak.
And Logan, that's the number that was on The Shining. Remember in The Shining?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The number.
Yep.
Hey, doesn't Inky was the first to have the Trident? Are you going to go into that, Logan?
No, but I know there's merit to that story.
Okay.
I know there's merit to that. So I mean, Enki and Enlil equal 30, and Demiurge equals 30. Enki and Enlil to me represents the Demiurge, because they both equal 30 in numerology, same as Demiurge does. But anyways, and then we get this, which we've already talked about, that W being the 23rd letter. And that's where you're going to get the www website, and, the birthing of the internet, which I do have a decode coming out on. You have the Triple Crown winner, which is the www, which is tied to the Trident. And then you have the 23rd element tied to vanadium, which is tied to Pisces. And vanadium, when you go study it, it's vanadius, and that comes from Freya, which is the Norse goddess, and that's going to be tied to Jesus and the water, which is tied to the wave equals 18, baptized in water, which is going to be tied to the sin god of the moon, because the moon card is 18 in the cards of the tarot as well.
And this is Freya from Friday, right? Like where we get the word Friday.
Yep, Friday, and this is going to get Venus in there, right? So there's a lot of obviously chasing ass, like this is where you're going to get the testosterone chasing the estrogen, 51 tied to the slope of the pyramid, 51 tied to the element antimony. And antimony, when you go to the periodic table, it's going to be tied to the all-seeing eye.
And that's like the makeup, they got the makeup for the Egyptians they wore from that chemical.
Yep. Yeah. That's right. Yep. Antimony sulfide. So, I mean, you study this, it means not alone. This is like if you cut your brain in half, this is what you're going to see right here. So this antimony, which is called stibnite, this is going to be tied to vanadium here. This is why they're tied together right here. So we have, and Freya being tied to Friday, which is Venus's day. You see antimony, when you do the numerology of that's going to be 28, just like Lucifer. So this is where you're going to get the tie-in from Lucifer into Venus, because Venus is all about making love, procreation. And you need the water to do that. This is why you're going to get the birthing. This is where you're going to get into maritime law, because Neptune is tied to maritime law, because it's tied to water. All this reference. And this Poseidon, being with the origination of it from the Greek, that's 40. I don't know if you guys use the medicine cards, but there's the dolphin card tied right into it. And then I just thought this was kind of interesting. I threw this in there where the deer, remember, man, the Skull and Bones, they have their little place they go to is called Deer Island.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So,
isn't Moriga Shira the deer nakshatra in the month of leave the world behind? Isn't it around that time?
I'm kind of, I think, ignorant in that area, but keep in mind, leave the world behind. Leave the world behind in numerology is 78 in Chaldean. So I covered this in my leave the world behind. So Chaldean 78, and this 78 is the last card in the tarot. Whoops. Which is the King of Pentacles, which is money. So what they were trying to tell you is that money's going to go bye-bye, right? So leave the world behind.
They show that in the movie at the end where they're bartering, right?
Yeah. So money's going to go bye-bye because they're going to introduce cryptocurrency. So 78 is going to convert to the King of Diamonds, which is the 39th card in the deck, and that is going to be tied to celebration, because you're getting the changeover now. You're getting the transition into a different currency. But 39 is tied to Apollyon. Apollyon in the Greek is 39, which is tied to Abaddon, the destroyer. So these are all referencing, the deer, and it's the hunter. And this is sulfur. 16 is sulfur, and that's the tower card. So this is what they were referencing, the deer representing, the hunting. You get the Hunger Games. I just think we have an ugly, like a lot of people ask me, what do you think, what's coming, Logan? What's coming? It's not going to be pretty. I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's not going to be pretty. I personally think that the Aquarian age may just be very dystopian. And, personally myself, I'm looking to get out of this reality. I'm looking to escape this reality. Right. My whole focus is to relieve myself, to get out of this reality. And I think there is a way to get out of this reality, and to not have to, it's like the Logan's, like my name is Logan. I go by Logan. Well, it's Logan's Run. And that whole thing is escaping outside from under the dome. And a lot of the dome is Neptunian. It's all this Neptunian stuff outside of being a human being. A fish is 17, Matrix is 17, life is 17, story is 17, all in Chaldean numerology. So, like this is tied to our blood, and like, do you want to be here anymore? That's the question. And is there a way out of this reality? That's my focal point. And that's tied to Revelation 3 verses 16 and being lukewarm. And that's a very tall order, because playing the game means that you're a fish. So playing a game to me is the hot and cold. That's the whole Revelation 3 verses 16, which is going to be tied to the Jesus Christ character. That's why you have the birthing of John 3:16, which is one of the most famous scriptures of, putting your faith in the Christ, having everlasting life. But your everlasting life is going to be on the world stage. So if you don't want to be on the world stage anymore, because it's going to just be a repeat. I mean, you're going to get this paradise, but it may not be a paradise in the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius, it says in Revelation, the sun's going to go out, man. That's what it says in Revelation. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it says the sun will be no more.
Oh, that don't sound good.
No, it doesn't. So, if that's the way it is, I mean, I know, I like what, like Jay, I know you talk a lot about how, and I love that story about the things getting bigger, and, and even Archaics talks about the vapor canopy. But, there is this aspect of astrology, and astrology, if we are moving into the age of Aquarius, it's the age of wisdom, but, I mean, it is an electrical age, and this electrical age and what they're pushing in the narrative, I mean, if they're really wanting you to go into the metaverse, well, why would that be? Well, maybe because the real world will look really ugly, and it will be a dystopian world until the age of Capricorn comes back, where you're going to have the return to the golden age, which is more Saturnian based, and there's a lot of merit to that. So I'm purely giving a theory here. I'm not saying this is true as well with the Aquarian age, but this whole contract with the Neptunian, and maybe the Neptunian energy, Poseidon actually being the ruler of this reality and being the devil because he's got the pitchfork, may actually be the way this whole thing works. So, in this whole fish and the Dagon and the fish hats and the Vatican, may have some things to take into consideration.
And fishes don't close their eyes, so it represents the evil eye as well.
Yeah, and they're only one-sided, when you look at a fish, unless you look at square. So that's a good point. But I really think that this 38, 38, when you see 38, it means the binary system. It means it's the 1 and the 0. And Tron, like, I'm a huge fan of the movie Tron Legacy. And Tron Legacy, there was a scene that Jeff Bridges, he says, the way to win is not to play. And he, of course, his son goes down into the game to rescue his father. And there's a portal there. So, like, the way to win is not to play. And I did the whole timestamp of that. And it was really crazy, the timestamp. I don't know how Disney would get this so perfect. That's why I just can't think man's running the show down here, because it's just so perfect when you start bringing these scenes in and you look at the timestamps. it just gets really too overwhelming for me to kind of think that that man's running anything down here. So for me as a decoder, I'm more into looking for the way out and not coming back anymore. Like, I think being a human being is a lot of fun. I'm a fan of life, yes, but I'm not a fan of suffering. I'm not a fan of getting old, that kind of stuff. So I think that if there's a way out, I'm going to find it. And I'm on the search for that. And that's kind of what I got, guys.
I'm with you on that, brother. I'm definitely trying to get up out of here too. I do not want to reincarnate again. So I appreciate all you guys coming on. And the funny thing is, that with that video Facebook took down, they won't even let me appeal it. When I click on appeal, it says post gone, doesn't exist. So I know for a fact we shared no adult nudity, like nothing. What did we share that was adult nudity? That just blows my mind that they did that. But bro, that's what happens, man. The last 4 videos I put up are the one already 3 days ago. I put it up. It's at like 700,000 views. So when your shit starts to go viral like that, they look for any way they can to take you down. And this is why I honestly hate doing lives. You guys notice I don't do them anymore because they always get you in trouble in these damn lives. Anytime
ask me how I know that.
I'm telling you, dude, it's like unreal and it drives me nuts.
You know what the craziest thing about it though is that we're on 3 hours, right? You could do 3 hours of content, and if someone says the wrong thing for 4 seconds, that 4 seconds weighs against the whole 3 hours, as if it were like a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video, a 10-hour video. All someone's got to say is the word. No, I'm just kidding. But if you said just the wrong word, it's like, bam, you get nuked out of orbit.
Wow.
Yeah, and the only thing I could think of was the Epstein game. Could that have caused it?
Oh, don't bring Epstein game into this. Absolutely not.
No, I shared that picture of
Epstein game.
it could have been the birthing picture too that I shared. Like, it could have been anything.
It could have been anything, man.
That's
Remember-
probably what it was, the birthing picture.
Because it's an algorithm, it's not human, right? It could also be a combination of different triggers, you know what I mean? Different things all together that build a weight for it to consider.
But did that birthing picture show any nudity?
No.
You're gonna get taken down just for talking about the birthing picture now. They're gonna be like, oh,
dude, don't even sweat it, man. It's over and done with. Nothing you can do about it.
No, it just irks me, bro.
Yeah.
one of the best ways that one of the best
ways.
ways the CIA figured out to program people, and this was basically Ted Kaczynski, was that you just arbitrarily punish them. You do it for no reason, and then you wait and give someone a reward for no reason, and you just wait to see like their brain try to figure out what their pattern is. And if you never give it a pattern to figure out, at a certain point it just gives up, and it's like, all right, I give up trying to figure out what's going on. You just tell me, I'll be your puppet. And that was like one of the most effective ways outside of sleep deprivation.
Wow.
No, there's got to be.
It's grooming, man. I mean, that's why there's Groom Lake over at Area 51. It's grooming, dude. Everybody's getting groomed right now of what you can say, what you can do, what you can show.
YouTube's way worse, and it's still up on YouTube. Facebook's usually the one that don't take you down. You know what I mean? So that's just so bizarre, dude.
Man.
We're on these demi-earth.
It's just good cop, bad cop, bro. They sent YouTube out of the room and they brought Facebook in.
I'll tell you what, this is my last live video I'll ever do. It'll never happen again because from now on everything will be pre-recorded. And
well, happy birthday! Well, here's your birthday present from Facebook.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was told my son there's always a way, and there's usually more than one way. So we're learning at the same time that the algorithm is learning too. So we could rise up and learn better ways.
True that.
Well, I appreciate all you guys coming on, and that kind of dampened my mood, but it is what it is. There ain't nothing I can do. They won't even let me appeal it, so I just got to take it, and that's it. That's a story of my life. But Thank
Are
you
you gonna
guys.
close out, or do
Yeah.
you want me to? I still have some pictures to share if you want, or we could wait another time.
Yeah, we can wait it. We were at 3 hours
Okay.
now.
Okay. No
My
worries.
whole mood is like, but I appreciate all you guys coming on, and I'll check out all their channels, guys. All their links are down in the description of this video. And I love you. From now on, guys, you'll be getting uploads from Tommy. So if I do a live, it'll be on Rumble. And my Rumble channel is Truth Mafia TV. That will be the only place I'll be streaming live.
Yeah,
Hey,
same
well,
here,
are you
man.
still want to do the live on my website?
Yeah, we could do it on there because I mean it's on the website,
We can do what we want to.
Yeah, we're still gonna do that, but just
Alright,
like I got to be careful, dude. It's crazy. I got to go back out and figure what caused that. So, thank you guys for coming on, and we're out.
Awesome.